Derry in the final of the Dr. McKenna Cup. This decider of the pre-season competition will be live on Highland with Oisín Kelly and Martin McHugh from the 5 o'clock throw-in at Healy Park in Omagh. Highland's coverage of Donegal in the Dr. McKenna Cup is brought to you by Highland Motors in Letterkenny with the new Citroen C5 Aircross, an SUV with great comfort and styling, perfect for Donegal roads. For a test drive or to order your new 241, pop into Highland Motors.
There you have it. It's just 9 o'clock. I'm going to pass you over to Gregory Hughes. Greg, good morning to you.
Good morning, Lee.
Come here. What's the crack? Is there a wee bit of a thing coming at the weekend? What's the
thaw.
Is it thaw coming?
Today's the last day. The cold weather. Hopefully,
Great.
so tomorrow it should be.
But do you know what the timing
nice and wet
of it?
and windy.
But the timing of it, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's good. And then we get the break over the weekend back to normal Monday.
Yeah, you could look at it like that.
What way would you look at it?
Well, some people don't have to leave the house maybe at the weekend, and so but anyway.
What did you said yesterday? There might be a storm coming.
Not storm. It's going to be wet and windy, particularly on Sunday.
Right. Sure, that'll wash all that stuff away, won't it?
Aye, it'll all be gone.
The grand. Then we get back to basics.
Get back to moaning about something else then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff.
All right. Take care, Lee. Thanks very much. Have a great weekend. See you Monday. Okay, it is at 9 o'clock, just a minute past 9. Our Friday panel is going to be joining us very shortly. But first, let's get a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Donegal County Council is being urged to install speed ramps at Coiling Court at the top of Bridgeend Ramelton. This is in order to enhance safety measures and make the roads safer. Councillor John O'Donnell was told there are no plans to install ramps in the area at the moment, but funding is being sought to improve access into Ramelton village from the area, particularly for pedestrians. Councillor O'Donnell says that's welcome, but conditions attached to a recent planning application show the need for measures to tackle speed.
The Planning Authority and Donegal County Council carried out a good thorough review of the whole area, and they have conditioned the planning application to carry out safety measures. In relation to my motion here today, it's calling on speed ramps and traffic calming measures to be put in place at the bridge end and up at Coiling Court and Ramelton. For a long number of years, there's people been making representations, and now because there's going to be development work carried out, I think it's vital that before any more development takes place that we carry out these traffic calming and safety measures as a matter of urgency.
The Army bomb disposal team has carried out a controlled explosion after a blast at a homeless hostel in Dublin City. A man in his 30s died following the incident on Little Britain Street that happened shortly after 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. The Defence Forces carried out an analysis of the scene before handing it back to Gardaí as they continue their investigation. Reporter with the Irish Times, Shauna Byers, says the blast was confined to one room.
A man unfortunately did die. DePaul confirmed that he was a service user with them. The Irish Times understands he was a man in his 30s who was originally from Eastern Europe. The explosion is understood to have been contained in one room, which was occupied by a single person. There were no other injuries.
Another deadline to restore Stormont has passed. It's now over to the Secretary of State to tell us what direction Northern Ireland will now take. James Gould has more.
At this moment in time, the Secretary of State actually falls under a legal obligation to call an Assembly election. But in a statement issued shortly after midnight, he says he will introduce legislation that will address the executive formation period and support Northern Ireland's departments. I understand that will come next week, so no election just yet. Yesterday, hundreds of thousands of public sector workers took to the streets on strike across the country over a pay dispute. Paying those workers is something else Mr. Heaton-Harris might have to address.
Ice and frost are causing difficulties again this morning as the cold snap continues. Driving conditions are hazardous, with road users being urged to slow down and drive with care. Temperatures should start to pick up later today and over the weekend. And PSNI have issued a similar appeal to drivers, and that is to take extreme caution on the roads today as many of them remain untreated. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back again at 10 o'clock.
Here are last week's road safety figures. Over 3,000. The number of penalty point notices issued, 159. The number of drivers arrested on suspicion of drink or drug driving, and 3. The number of people killed on our roads. Behind these numbers is a story of lost lives, broken families, and devastated communities. If you can improve just one thing about your driving, you can help save lives on our roads. For from the Road Safety Authority and An Garda Síochána.
And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, very good morning to you. It's 4 minutes past 9 on this Friday, the 19th of January, 2024. You're very welcome along to the last 9 till noon show of the week. And as always, it is a busy one. Our Friday panel, I'll introduce them to you in a moment. Later on, we've got That's Entertainment and so much more besides. We want you involved in the conversation, of course. And you can WhatsApp or text us right now, 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call in 07491 25,000, and emails to comments@highlandradio.com. If you want to watch the programme, you can do so as well on YouTube. If you're at home or it suits you, you can watch us on your smart TV, on the YouTube app, or your Fire Stick or Google TV. And we're also on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport. Okay. Let's welcome our guest today. We'll start with Noel McBride, former Fine Gael councillor and mayor. Good morning to you, Noel. How are you getting on?
Morning, Greg.
Good to have you with us, as always. Also with us is Emer McGuinness, manager of the Donegal Mart. Good morning, Emer.
Morning, Greg.
How are you keeping?
Very good now, very good.
I see you haven't invested in a webcam since I last spoke to you. And Damien Dowds, editor of the Inishowen Independent newspaper, he's joining us, or he's going to join us. Are you there yet, Damien?
Checked in and all, Greg.
How are you getting on? Good to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us. Right, okay, let's get through some of the topics, and some of these have been suggested by listeners too. The Social Protection Minister, Heather Humphreys, has questioned how people can attend anti-immigration demonstrations during the day while most others are at work. Ms Humphreys said her department had provided $7.8 million in supports and grants to Roscrea in recent years. She said migrant workers in key sectors of health, hospitality, food processing and others had paid $3 billion in PRSI last year and $17 billion over 3 years to help fund pensions and other welfare payments. You'd wonder, she said, how some people can be at protests in the middle of the day when other people are working. So we've had to announce more work permits recently because we can't get the staff in certain sectors. Does she have a point, Noel McBride?
Well, I think that statement by Minister Humphreys was a bit of a rush of blood to the brain just for a split second. Look, people have the right to protest, as we know, peaceful protest. But I would honestly say that, you know, many of those people maybe work shifts, work at night, so on and so forth. Now, there are others who are agitators that are egging the thing on, which I think is incorrect. But in saying that, what Minister Humphrey said, I think she just jumped the gun a wee bit. She should have just thought about what she was saying and thought about those people. Look, they are concerned in Roscrea. They're concerned. People are concerned in all parts of the country at the moment. We want to respect those coming into the country, and I think it was very sad just to watch it on TV, just to see that bus coming in with women and children, and to see that, you know, the whole atmosphere around it, Gardaí having to intervene, protesters there, irrespective of whether they should have been working or whether they weren't working, whatever. But I thought it was just a sad sight to see on Irish TV.
Do you think it was a cheap shot from the minister? I don't think it was off the cuff, because she'd went to the bother of finding how much money had gone in to the Roscrea area, how much migrants have contributed to the economy. So, I don't think it was a slip of the tongue here. She must have said, right, I'm going to say this, whether it was, a cheap shot or not.
Well, look, you know, her statement was prepared. Her statement was prepared. I don't know what if those lines were in the statement or not. They can deviate.
Well, listen, I mean, the tactic probably is, and we've seen it with in terms of government funding of the defective concrete crisis, that ministers choose to say, well, you know, this is the taxpayer that's funding this, so you know, and in some way it is a way of gathering public support. You could argue maybe it was the same tactic here to sort of turn the working population against those who are protesting, so that, you know, people will drive past and say, if you're not got a job, do you know, that kind of, so there might be actually really quite well thought out for right or wrong.
Well, look, you know, people have the right to protest, whether maybe they took the time off work to do it. So be it, if they did. But the sad part of it is to see, you know, those mothers and children and families stepping off that bus to go into that hotel, irrespective of what the circumstances behind it are. Irish people are now...
Can I argue,
generally,
though? Can I just say, for argument's sake, before I bring other guests in, and just to tease it out, like, you know, an awful lot of Gardaí, riot squad Gardaí, they looked like, arrived in Roscrea. They did the 2 lines going in. It create, you know, that did contribute maybe to the imagery that you're talking of as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, you know, when the Gardaí arrived there, they were obviously, maybe they knew something that the locals didn't know, or, you know, we don't know who was actually there. But at the same time, the Gardaí were either tipped off that there was going to be a serious protest, or they knew and they had planned it all to be there. But Heather Humphrey's statement, and I met the lady on a number of occasions, I don't think it's really the type of statement that she likes to make. I honestly have this gut feeling that it was just something that she just said.
Well, sometimes that's no harm, because you actually really get an insight into how people might think. I'll come back to you, Emer McGuinness. You know, in relation to Heather Humphrey's comments, do you believe she has a point, and maybe talk to the issues more broadly?
Well, I think it was an extremely flippant, arrogant comment on her behalf, and I agree with you. It definitely would have been thought out, and it just showed the arrogance, you know, to make such a statement. The reality is Heather Humphreys she wouldn't have any idea of the overcrowding in hospitals. She wouldn't have any idea of lack of services, lack of housing. And a lot of the people that attended that protest, that's why they were there. Anger, and they have lost out in some way. I know if I attend protests, they've only ever been farming protests, and that's because I know why I'm there. Now, I do, as in every protest, you'll have some people that want to cause contention or are there for ulterior motives. But generally speaking, you attend a protest because it has affected you personally. And I blame, you know, to sit and make such a comment, and it's the government's fault that we're in this situation. Like, as you say, a busload of mothers and children, it is awful. But there's only so much that we can take when you try to make an appointment for something where you're trying to get accommodation and you can't because our country is overcrowded. And it's continuous.
But we don't seem to be learning. I mean, even there's a village in the south of the county at the moment where a unit accommodation has recently been sold. All of a sudden, there's tons of vans that are working from there. There's speculation in the community that 40, 50, 60 people could be moved in there. No information. There's absolutely no information, but all the talk of the community is what's going on. And we've heard all week about the importance of communication and talking to communities, and yet really, you know, it's not happening. Do you know what I mean? It's not happening. And what is happening now is there's a lot of concern or worry or speculation in particular areas. There's no official information to fill those gaps. So, you know, others are going to say, well, it's this, that and done. And we're just seeing, again, the same situation both in this county and across the country over and over and over again. And then you've got ministers stand up in the Dáil and effectively say, well, if you've got a problem with this, you're probably not prepared to go out and work. You know, I mean, that's probably an extreme read of the situation, don't get me wrong, and I accept that, and I've nothing against the minister, but that's how it feels.
Yeah, it's really not an extreme measure to say that's exactly what she meant. And that's what I mean about the arrogance. It's mind-boggling, really, when you think about it. And they have created that problem. They're some of your, as you say, they're ministers. They're in charge. And to stand there and to give such an arrogant answer to such a serious problem, it's shocking, really.
What do you think, Damien Dowds, editor of the Inishowen Independent newspaper? I mean, there are professional protesters that aren't from particular areas, that go into different areas. Maybe that's who she's talking of. I don't know. But what's your views more generally, Damien?
Well, I suppose Heather Humphreys made her comments just in the context of an overall Dáil debate about migration and the wider points of it. To be honest, I wasn't offended by the comment at all. I think she said what she said in the part of a context where, in the part of a debate where another TD was referring to the Nazis and so on that were spreading far-right propaganda. So there was a fair bit of cut and thrust in that debate in the Dáil. And she isn't really damning people. She's literally wondering aloud how people are able to manage to be on the protests. And I think there's been overnight protests and overnight vigil and so on held at that as well. but she's not damning people. And, people have to be allowed, and TDs have to be allowed to just express themselves as well. It's not as though she's went and issued a statement slaughtering people and saying anyone that's protesting is a layabout and a dosser. She's just saying you'd wonder how some people can be in protest at the middle of the day. I'm sure other people wonder that as well. So I think there's a bit of a storm in the teacup here coming at the minister herself, in a situation where there's a lot of very inflamed opinions about the question of migration.
Yep, there is indeed. And an interesting study out today, Damien, or report or commentary, that this sort of anti-immigrant sentiment is going to hit us where it hurts in terms of attracting foreign workers to Ireland in areas that we need them, that Ireland is losing, or has perhaps lost, its reputation as a welcoming place for people of different, nationalities, races to come here and work, particularly in the area of health and healthcare. I can understand where that commentary is coming from.
Yeah, and I think that that was part of the wider debate they were having it on. She's the Minister for Social Welfare, or Social Protection, as it's called now, and she was just pointing out about how many or how much PRSA is paid by immigrants. One of the things that you hear quite a lot is that they're coming here to avail of benefits. That's one of the tropes that's put out by people who are criticising the levels of immigration into the country, and yet the Minister for Protection, the one with the information on, she's able to say that they paid €3 billion in PRSA payments last year. Because the PPS numbers that are issued to foreign nationals are able to be recorded, like the same as they are for us ourselves. So, I think you wouldn't want the flow, particularly of some of the skilled labour that's coming into the country. There is lots of shortages in the labour force in the country at the moment, and we wouldn't want that to be disrupted because of the bad attitude, of the bad picture that's presented of Ireland when you have accommodation being targeted for arson, or you have people trying to get into what's going to be their home eventually, and protests and armed or lines of Gardaí lined up to try and guide them in. It's not a good picture internationally. We had the Dublin riots. We know those pictures went around the world. So the type of economy and the type of society we have, there's always going to be coming and going with it. And if people are able to get here and they're able to get their PPS number and they're able to contribute to work, so much the better.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate that. But Emer, that may be not the people that the public are talking about. If we go back to one of the first arson attacks that took place was in Moville, it was absolutely horrendous. But in advance of that, there was to establish a direct provision centre with 100 people located in it. This is long way before all of this commentary that is going around now. And the key issues were at meetings: school places, GPs, security, pressure on the hospital. Do you know what I mean? And I think if you get rid of all the noise that's around now and the different people that are out there and agitating, that was a very, and as I say, this is the arson was not of the community, and it's completely deplorable. But it was the exact same conversations back then. It wasn't about people's nationality or colour or where they're coming from. It's the things that, and I think you can look at that and sort of talk of, people's reaction unfiltered, if that makes sense.
As I say, I take people into my own home. I have nothing against any of that. And I think the argument that's given back sometimes is that if you argue against it, that you are against people coming into the country, which is so untrue. And the argument I'd make is Heather Humphreys is the minister. She, as you say, her script would have been written out for her. She should have been very careful of the words that she used. And I will maintain that people, a lot of the time when people protest, they're protesting because they've been personally affected by the situation. And you don't go by a few troublemakers and say that's what all protests are. Generally speaking, it's, as I should look at, if I went to get an appointment with a doctor, or you can't get one. The country is overrun. All our services, people that can't get houses, all them people are affected, and she should take account of that. If I don't dispute that there is a certain amount of immigrants come into the country and work, but that's not the full argument. And as you say, as what happened earlier on in the whole conversation, that is why people are angry, and that has to be taken on board. She can't just throw out a flippant, arrogant comment in the Dáil where she knows everyone's going to hear it and they're going to take their own interpretation of it.
Okay, no, but let's remove from this question her comments about whether people are working or not. But in terms of sort of articulating the benefits of migrant workers, what they contribute to society and all this type of stuff, you know, the government should have been out putting this messaging across, laying the groundwork years and years ago, should they not know? Like, they are firefighting, trying to put the genie back in the bottle now to say everything's okay and this is what we're going to do. For crying out loud, they're talking about opening a community hotel, which is you know, the hotel itself is a piece of cake, but who the hell's going to run that for the next 30 years? You know what I mean? It's a little bit silly, I think, anyway, if you don't mind me saying. But no, where's this messaging that they're promising? Where's, you know, a voice like Damien's, for an example, that sort of explains things in a calm and what some might say is a reasonable way?
Yeah, you're 100% right, Greg. Unfortunately, the government at this moment in time are trying to put the genie back in the bottle, and the genie is out of the bottle. We weren't prepared. We weren't expecting so many immigrants into the country so fast. They came in so fast on us that everybody was overwhelmed, and every county, including our own. In fact, we're one of the highest numbers. We are the highest, I think, in the country by population. They're talking about putting services in place. Where are they going to get the services? They haven't got the services at this moment in time. Where are they going to come from? Like, we haven't got GPs, we haven't got nurses, we haven't got Gardaí, we haven't got social services to cater for the influx of people. And, you know, at this stage, you can, and one part of your brain can see why the people in the country are protesting, and the other part of your brain, you feel nearly sorry for them, and you'd like to see them being helped. But unfortunately, we don't have the services. Like, you know, I'll be very honest, and I'll take it parochial. We have persons in our own area. They are lovely people. They're causing no issues. They're getting on with their lives, and we have to allow them do that. But and again, not being disrespectful to our local services, but I would strongly suspect if they wanted an appointment with the GP today or the dentist tomorrow or whatever, the services are not there.
Well, I have to say this now. I know the area you're talking of, and we got a GP's appointment within an hour, and I just have to put that out there, okay? I'm not contradicting you, but I can't sit here with that knowledge and not relate it. But the GP's practice you're talking about, we got a GP's appointment within an hour. But anyway, as I say, I had to say that because if they were listening, and it wasn't me, but anyway, that's fine. Right, okay. Thank you very much for that. We're going to come back with more from our guests. You're hearing the voice of Emer McGuinness, Noel McBride, Damien Dowds, and your comments coming in as well. But first, let's take a quick break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Despite low temperatures and high energy costs, it's important everyone stays warm and well through the colder months. It's also important to understand that saving energy where possible saves money and helps reduce the impact on our climate. Simple steps can make a big difference, like turning down the thermostat by 1 degree, limiting the use of high-energy appliances like tumble dryers, or ensuring we don't heat rooms that aren't in use. Government is playing its part too, making a range of supports available to help ease the burden on families across the country. For support and advice, visit gov.ie/reduce your use. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Backstage Bar and Grill is open for breakfast, lunch and dinner 7 days a week. If you're looking for healthy options this January, we have a great selection of delicious salads, sandwiches and more. Call Century Complex on 074 91 219 76 to book your table.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
It's time to visit Ireland's newest Lexus dealership, Lexus Letterkenny. With 50 years of experience, you can trust us in this new era of electrification. Experience our all-electrified range, including the stunning ES Hybrid Saloon and our award-winning range of plug-in hybrid SUVs. And view our finance offers, including the all-new LBX. Start your 2-for-1 journey with Lexus Letterkenny Port Road. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at
9:24, just turning 9:25. We were chatting to the founders of the Farmer Alliance yesterday. They are the latest party on the scene ahead of the local EU and Dáil elections. Eamon, do you think they'll get any traction? Because there's lots of different options and different ways people can vote now. But how do you think the Farmers Alliance might do, if you have a view formulated on that yet?
Well, you would like to think that the farmers will support them. We badly need someone who will support our farmers. So, I do know that they're actively talking to a lot of people around the country, different candidates. So, I'd give them my full support, because we're definitely a dying breed and we definitely need plenty of, influence.
They're saying they're actually getting quite good traction in urban areas as well. It's not just in rural areas. Did that surprise you at all?
Well, when you think about it, when you look at all of our problems, it's basically, we don't have the same problems that are around Dublin or the bigger cities or towns. And you would like to think they're from them areas and they understand why we're lacking in roads, infrastructure, services, and everything is very different for us than it is in the cities. And I'd like to think that they'll get a few very good candidates, and it'll be interesting.
Damien, Dads, what do you think? The Farmers Alliance, how will they fare up here? Because, of course, we'll have the defective concrete party as well, which will be sort of, people might see as an alternative vote to the established parties and what have you. It's the potential to be interesting if they get the candidates together.
I think it's going to be a fairly crowded field, because we do have the Redress Party has formed, and now we have the Farmers Alliance, which is clearly coming out of Inishowen as well. So it's going to be a very, very crowded field, but so much the better. It shows the strength of our democracy is that people can go and both the Redress Party and the Farmers Alliance have been talking for several months, and I'm sure a lot of people were sceptical whether or not they'd actually form into parties and go ahead and try and do it. So they've gone and done it. They've got their I's dotted and their T's crossed, and they're preparing for the elections next year, or later on this year now. So 4 or 5 months' time, they're going to be putting themselves out there and looking for the public support. Fair play to them, putting their heads above the parapet like that. It wouldn't be for me. I know it was for Emer, but it wouldn't be for me. But fair play to them. That's brilliant to see people participating in our democracy that way, and good luck to them all,
Yeah, what's your views, Noel?
Yeah, well, I suppose, look, another political party on the horizon, so the best of good luck to them. The only thing I would say is, all the different farming organisations, if they would all come together and work together for the good of farming, you have the likes of the IFA, they have the ICMSA, you have the breeders associations, the sheep farmers, and so on and so forth.
But a lot of those are not born, though. A lot of those are not born by people's feelings that the established ones weren't actually representing them, looking after the big guy or looking after the people in this certain industry. Now, I'm not levelling that accusation at any of these parties, but these pop up because farmers presumably don't feel they were getting the representation. So.
Well, if the farmers feel that they're not getting the representation, obviously they haven't. And look, if they put their head above the parapet, as Damien said there, good luck to them, and get out there, promote their wares. But funny, I was speaking to a farmer last weekend, and he simply said to me, he says, when you sit down to take your dinner in the evening, he says, look at your plate. Where did the food come from that's on your plate? It's all come from the farms.
Well, I had chicken goujons last night that come all the way from Thailand.
I was just going to say that, Greg. Yeah.
How in God's name can a chicken? I just bought it in the local shop. How in God's name can a chicken goujon come from Thailand?
and your potatoes and everything else, and us growing it in Ireland. Disgraceful.
Yeah, well, that should not have to happen. And the supermarkets and the large supermarkets, the small supermarkets, and the shopping organisations that we have in our country, they should be working with the local farmers, working with them to ensure that the farmers are producing the food that we need.
But just in relation to that, and Emer, it is remarkable that a farmer or whatever it is in Thailand, right, can grow a chicken. I'm kind of, it's a leap of faith whether it's a chicken or not, but anyway, could grow a chicken, cook it, but put it in breadcrumbs, put it in a plastic bag, transport it over here, and be sold in a shop in Lahey or Donegal Town for €12, and compete with an Irish farmer to do the same thing?
But our chicken is then transported over to Thailand or somewhere else.
So it's good Irish chicken. All right, well, I suppose that's all right.
It's crazy what is happening, really, when you think about it. Like, if you sit down and went through the maths of where all most of our beef that we produce, organic beef, it's exported.
To China now too, because those markets have been reopened again. Noel, you're talking about heads over parapets. What's the story with you? What?
I've put the head down, Greg, and I'm going to keep it down from here on in.
Do you think there'd be a bit of appetite for people to see you back on the ballot paper, I think?
That ship has sailed, Greg.
Okay.
That ship has sailed.
Right, okay. That's interesting.
I'm quite content. I enjoyed my term there. I'm quite content doing what I'm doing at the moment.
Damien Dowds Rose on Facebook says, Damien obviously is not trying to get a doctor's appointment or get a family member who needs a home. Rural Ireland doesn't have the infrastructure to deal with the amount of immigrants being brought into small towns. I'm not sure you actually said that that's the case, but just to give you an opportunity to respond to Rose there.
Well, I live in Buncrana, and we've got 3 children in the house, and every time in the last 12 months that I've sought a doctor's appointment for me or for one of them, we've got it that day. So this idea that there's no doctor's appointments, it's not been my experience, and it's not the experience of any of my friends or work colleagues either. Now, I'm sure there are people that occasionally don't get a doctor's appointment right away, but my experience has been that, and that's half a dozen times or whatever it's been over the last 12 months, we've always got it. There's 2 practices here in Buncrana, and we've got it. As for finding houses, well, actually, as it happens, I'm moving house now shortly, and I went and looked to rent, and I went and stood in 5 different houses around this town over the last couple of months before deciding on the 5th one. So again, it's not that they're exactly easily found, but they're still gettable.
Emer, do you look perplexed, or is that camera playing up on me again?
Well, I was down home in Cavan at Christmas for the Christmas holidays, and I know my sister was trying to get an appointment with a doctor for a child, and it was all over Facebook. They cannot in Cavan, and they cannot get appointments in doctors. It's crazy what's going on down there, and that's just the other hand to what Damien's saying. And as regards in Killybegs, where I live, accommodation, it can't be got. If there's people come over a great tourist destination, there's nowhere for them to stay. It's crazy what is going on. We are, and I have nothing against, as I say, we have plenty of immigrants in the town, and they're fine, they don't cause any trouble. It's nothing to do with that. It is simply the lack of services that makes me angry. And there is a lack of services. There's no point in placing for them to stay. Yeah,
and in your area, Noel, as well. I mean, you would know, yes, people are integrating into the community, and that's fine and all well and good. And I'm not in any way trying to stir anything, but your area is going to be affected by the amount of hotel accommodation that's taken out of the market. You know what I mean? It's going to limit its growth, and you're in the down in sort of Carragher and wider area there. Like in terms of how things might go in the summer, there is also a knock-on impact to other businesses and other people that work in the tourism sector and what have you. So, there is a housing crisis, because if we wanted hotels back, there's nowhere for these people to actually go to.
Well, look, if you take our own area, people are integrating fairly well as far as I
for sure, not disputing that at all.
And I used just the doctor's appointment as an example there. We don't have the problem here at the moment, but it could happen anywhere. That was the example I was giving. Look, this area is predominantly a tourism area. I don't see it having a serious effect on the tourist economy in this area going forward. We've depended on tourism down the years, as you know, only too well. And we look forward to another very busy year this year. In fact, we've just had another hotel, or in the process of being opened up again. The Carrigart Hotel has been closed for many years. It's in the process of being renovated there, and hopefully it'll be fully open for the tourist season again. We have our tourism providers in the area. We have the likes of Russellpen Hotel, as you know. We have Downage Bay Hotel, and now we'll have the Carrigart Hotel. We also have our caravan parks, we have our holiday homes, we have our glamping.
So you're satisfied it's not going to have an impact? Okay.
I'm quite satisfied that it won't have any detrimental effect at all on tourism.
Can I also maybe mention, Greg, quickly, just as if you were to ask maybe some of the restaurant owners, maybe an idea to bring some of them on, the restaurant owners, in the tourism areas, are the immigrants eating in, I'm talking about highly established restaurants, that tourists would generally go to, would they be as busy as they would have been when there's nowhere for people to stay in the town? Obviously, they're not going to be. And they're going to have less customers because these people are going to be passing through. So it has affected everybody, and there's no point in saying it hasn't.
Yeah, and in fact, the people, some of the businesses in your area have actually spoken out on this quite bravely, because it's a difficult thing to do, because they're not anti-immigrant, but when the policies are affecting the livelihoods, I think it can be brave to put that head back above the parapet and speak publicly. Okay, back with more from our guests after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
On this week's Business Matters, after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday, my guest is Maura Toner, Food Coast Advisor at the local enterprise office in Donegal.
Business Matters, in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. For a career in financial governance, consider the Level 9 MA in Governance and IT in Financial Services, starting in January. Contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email donald.hannigan@atu.ie today.
A new year, a new floor. At Florit, we offer quality solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a vast choice of parquet herringbone flooring, all fitted and tailored to your needs. Call in today and see for yourself the fantastic offers available this January. Call Florit today on 087 161 7008 or visit florit.ie.
Making some changes this year? More exercise, eating healthier, new adventures. Then why not trade in and switch your old car for a brand new 241 Ford? Our January exchange event has exclusive deals on the Ford Kuga, Puma and Focus, including savings of up to €5,000 on selected Kuga, ST-Line or titanium plug-in hybrid models in stock. But get moving. Offer ends end of January. To find out more or to book your appointment with your nearest Ford dealer, visit Ford.ie. T's and C's apply at participating dealers until 31st of January.
Enhance your skills with SafeTech's part-funded training programs. At SafeTech, we provide courses including first aid, roadworks, people moving and handling, confined spaces, electrofusion and machinery training for Ireland and UK sites. Also online programs such as water hygiene, construction supervisors, safety reps and much more. If you have a group for training, SafeTech will go to you. Contact SafeTech today at safetech.ie and take the first step towards upskilling and safety compliance.
Charlie says, while thousands come into the country, we must remember that thousands of our youths are leaving the country to look for employment in foreign lands. What's the difference? The people that are arriving in Ireland are coming to save their lives and don't have an option. The Irish have been doing exactly the same for 800 years. That's why our population is only 5 million. And 70 million people in foreign lands claim to be Irish. Live and let live. Remember, these poor people don't want to be here. Okay, but there are people who say instantly straight back, say, look, some of them are coming in here because, it's not because they're fleeing anything in particular. It's, they're coming in here because maybe they will have a better life, but it's not that they necessarily have to come here. And again, Emer, we will move on, but this again comes back to not actual, I don't think, people. It really is services. And I think there are elements that aren't doing, a lot of the population I think they're doing them a disservice by almost making it about race, when I think a lot of the people with the concerns and even a lot of those out protesting they're doing it because they're concerned about spaces for their children in schools or GPs, not because of the colour of the skin, or they might have genuine concerns about security in the area if it's a large number of single males without families. I mean, that's... Go ahead, Emer.
Look, there's a lot of different, and as you said, that's what it is about. Like when you think that if you're having a woman that's just after giving birth, having a child, she has to think straight away, just after having a baby, about getting it enrolled in a childcare centre or whatever if she's working. Or somewhere to look after the child. Our services are so lacking. We haven't, and that's what it is basically about. Like when I think of people coming out of Ukraine and then countries, coming to another country that they don't want to be there, that, it is awful. And to me, it is simply about services. And when they think of deciding we're going to put 100 people there, 100 people there, it is on our government and all the different bodies to think that through, instead of just, there's a space here, put them here. And things are not thought through. And, we have been, as I say, we're a tourist town, and our town would be affected by and I'd love to see the figures on it. I don't know them. But as you said, maybe you've spoken to some of the restaurants, and I'm just talking about restaurants, I'm not talking about anything else, and how it has impacted them in the last couple of years.
Nola, caller disagrees with you and says, try and rent something in Downings and see what it costs per night or per week. It's supply and demand, and there's a lot less supply.
Look, that issue has always been here, supply and demand. It's not just happening now. But, where those people are being accommodated, from my knowledge, and I could be wrong here, but from my knowledge, where the people that have come into the country from Ukraine or wherever, they're not being accommodated in facilities that would be available for rent on a daily basis or a weekly basis or whatever.
Okay.
But just if I can go back to what Emer was saying there about the services, the government, as we said earlier, have let the genie out of the bottle. They have got to step up to the plate now. Each and every one of them have got to step up to the plate and put the services in place. And Donegal and Roscrea and wherever, to facilitate and to facilitate the extra demands that'll be there.
Okay,
they must do that, and they must work together. All TDs, senators, and so on must work together to make. It is
the government's position that for instance, Letterkenny University Hospital is adequately funded. It seems to be the HSE's opinion as well. So if they believe everything's rosy in the garden currently, and it's not quite, I'm framing that a little bit facetiously, but for the most part, you do wonder where we're going to get to the point where, like they talked about putting extra guards into areas that have high levels of immigrants. Where are they going to put them? How does that look like? They're going to put extra nurses in GPs' practices. Where are they going to get the nurses from? What GP practices? It's I can't make sense of it, and I would love to. There's optimism, but still some uncertainty over the future of the Rafo Dyson child and adolescent counselling services. It's been all over the Dáil, all over the media. And Damien, a sense from people out there that we in Donegal seemingly have to fight so hard on so many issues to either simply have them or, to even more simply, you would hope, retain them. Is it different up here? Or I mean, why do we always have to fight tooth and nail to retain such essential services?
Hi, I suppose. Look, the Rafo Diocesan Pastoral Service is the latest voluntary organisation that is just looking for one kind of staff member to be able to manage it. That can't seem to find it. It echoes what the experience has been with iCare here in the Shown, where For years, parents and community organisations stepped into the breach to provide a service that the government wasn't providing, no more than the referral diocesan service. I think they're saying they're the only child and adolescent counselling service in the whole county. So when the good offices of the referral diocese goes and sets something like that up, and the need that they have, I mean, they're talking about maybe something like 15,000 counselling sessions in the last 6 years. They have 120 clients at any given time in there. So they've filled that need. They've met that need. But the Department of Health kind of sits back and say, oh, that's grand, that's looked after. And when they come then looking for, someone to coordinate or someone to manage and the one salary that will require, the department will run a mile from it. They kind of, and what are they to do? And I always think about the iCare parents that set up the parents of children with autism and other special needs. When they set that up, they were at their wits' end. The state was offering nothing. They were proactive. They came in. They put in place a wonderful service that's heavily used. It becomes oversubscribed. The HSE will be referring people to it, and then won't give any type of funding towards it. So it's a common practice. And I think one of the things that hits us a wee bit as well is obviously our location right tight to the border. So if you're in, County Tipperary, you've got all those other counties around you, and you're able to kind of seamlessly nip over the border from Roscrea into Birr or wherever it is that you're going in Offaly or Laois, wherever it might be, right? That's not as handy and as convenient here because you're dealing with a different health system. Donegal's isolation from the rest of the state should have us be in a special case where we should be able to get more services, more resources, because we can't nip over the border to the next county, and yet it's the other way around. Yeah. We're left with community groups and the church or whoever it is might be coming. They identify the need, they serve the need, and the state kind of washes its hands of it, and that's been a common thread, and it's a terrible poor reflection on the state, and it's got a couple of different causes, as I've said there.
Well, I mean, as I say, in terms of the optimism, I think TUSLA are going to do a bit of a deep dive into the services to see, in terms of what is required. Is it really, one salary that would keep it going for a year? And I get that they have to do that from a governance perspective, and you would hope now this issue is too big to ignore and that they can do something about it. But again, Noel, it would make you wonder that if we didn't have, newspapers and radio stations in this county to pick up these issues, it could have just gone by the wayside. Why are we always having to fight and embarrass the authorities into eventually doing the right thing?
Agreed totally, Greg. We shouldn't have to fight, but we're a county that will fight to the bitter end to try and get the services. But on this particular service, and I've listened to your comments over the last couple of days on it, and I could sense your tone of voice was very, very annoyed at what is happening here, and we are all annoyed. I would say each and every single person in this county is annoyed to hear that this service runs a risk of being closed down. It should not happen, and it cannot happen. Now, there's TDs, senators, councillors that have been raising it over the last week or so. Raising it is one thing, but putting the shoulder to the wheel and getting that 60,000. And here's the solution to at least get breathing space for that organisation to get their funding on a proper basis. Donegal County Council members, and I don't know, is it 37 of them there now? I've lost count over the last few years. Donegal County Council members have two funds available to them. One being the Members Development Fund. Secondly, they have what was known in my day as a Community Development Fund, right? I have seen in the past where we have had to top slice funds in order to fund a particular project. This is a project in Donegal that we want to keep alive, we want to keep it open. It's an essential service, And I watched the comments and listened to the comments of TUSLA over the last couple of days. I'm not convinced that they're going to come in and put this 60,000 in there as required at the moment. If Donegal County councillors would come together at this moment in time, top slice their funds, maybe even
They might need that for the. They
might even come up with another fund.
I don't want to be facetious, but they might need those funds for the elections.
No, they can't use them. They can use them for their community.
I don't mean actually to. I don't mean actually to spend on the elections. I kind of meant to sort of maybe little enhancements in areas.
Put it in. Noel's proposal is brilliant, Greg. He's suggesting that the members' fund that the councillors all have access to, which was put up at the last in the budget there just before Christmas, I think it was put up from 20 to 25,000 euro. 2,000 euro for each one of the 37 councillors gets you up to what's that, 74,000 euro. Exactly. All county councillors. That's a brilliant suggestion there. And talk about spending it for the good of the wider community. No, it shouldn't be done. Again, it shouldn't be done at all county council's responsibility to come in and ensure that there's child counselling service available in the county. But as an interim measure, it's a very, very good suggestion, and the councillors should give it a good hearing.
Emer, just to the wider point that the firefighting that it feels that we have to do to retain or attract services to the region.
Look, I agree, and Noel, that is a great suggestion. I'd just like to state that it's definitely our politicians. It shouldn't have come down to this last week. But if you're asking, Greg, if we have to fight for everything, yes, we do. It's disgraceful to think that services that are so important to the county, we have to fight for them. But as Damien said, problem being local, normal people that needed them went ahead and set them up. And I suppose the government then just, left it to us and left it to people to invest the funds and keep these services going. But I do believe something will be done now. It has to be. It's so important. And it is disgraceful to think that you have to get on the radio and go to these lengths to keep services that are important open, especially when mental health, it's so important, and we need so many more counselling sessions. Never mind.
Yeah, we should be talking about how to expand it, not how do we keep it. Caller says the Irish went away to work. We went to work not to sign on the dole. That's the difference here.
17 billion. Sorry, Greg. Did I hear Heather Humphreys during the week there saying that 17 billion euro of PRSI? That's not to mention PAYE, but 17 billion of PRSI has been lifted from immigrants over the last 10 years. There's a facetious thought about there that these people are coming for social welfare only. Some will get social welfare, same as their own people, but a lot are here to work as well.
Caller says, is it true that anyone with a PPS number gets to vote? I wonder if the government is hoping that they'll get their votes from these people. I mean, the idea that you could bring people into the country to sway elections, it would worry you that people don't really understand how it works and the numbers involved here. 1 in 100 people in Donegal is an IPAS member, for an example. So 1%, even if they were entitled to vote, 1%, it's not going to change anything.
And they can only vote in the locals, Greg. They can only vote in the local election. And I think immigrants are, like all immigrants, are able to vote once they're registered and on the electoral rights are able to vote in the local elections. But it's only Irish and British citizens that can vote in the Dáil elections. It's only Irish and European and not British citizens now who can vote in the European elections. And obviously it's only Irish citizens who can vote in the referendums. Like a big civics lesson is needed in the country. The government is talking about how they're failing to communicate, but a bit of civics and people understanding how the political system works might be a bit of useful as well.
I think it's really, really important, and I've said this many times now, is that we genuinely actually all try and think for ourselves, because a lot of stuff, and it could be from whichever angle it is peddled out as if it's fact because someone you like has said it. I think it's really important that people challenge everything themselves. Damien, listen, thank you very much for your time. Have a lovely weekend.
All right.
Really do appreciate it. Emer McGuinness, as always, great to chat to you. You're not contesting anything this year, Emer?
Definitely not.
Okay.
You heard it first.
Well, I've heard it go. We got Noel pinned down to no, and you pinned down to not a chance, so we're doing all right. Okay, Emer, take care of yourself. Noel, any update on this path between Carrigart and Downings? You talked about tourism. I've been told this is coming every summer for the last 2 or 3 years, and we get texts in here all the time about it.
Greg, 13 years. 13 years now. I think it's March, and we've been working on this. Donegal County Council have done their final surveys there, or they were conducting the final surveys there just before Christmas. They're hoping now that it'll be going to tender. The project will be going out to tender. They were hoping possibly between now and Easter they'll be going to tender. Contractor will be appointed. There is $500,000 in the pot there, and thanks to Heather Humphreys and her department for putting that into the pot for us. Look, the project at this moment in time is going to take around 800,000. Donegal County Council will be sourcing the rest of that funding through various schemes. And look, Greg, we hope to have it up and running, at least started this year.
Or
that's the best I can say.
People can walk on the dangerous road looking in at it starting. Okay.
Well,
right, okay.
Yeah. It's taken 13 years. We're not going to give up on that one, Greg. I think if I get this one over, I'll retire.
You'll pack it in altogether.
Pack it in altogether and go for my daily walk on it.
All right, take care. Noel McBride there.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Oh, Kira, congratulations. Look at her tiny fingers. She's beautiful, just like her mammy.
Oh, thank you.
Have you got a name yet?
Well, we're thinking...
She's going to call her Brooklyn. Brooklyn, Massachusetts, Phoenix, Arizona.
Your vote is your voice. So if you don't speak up, someone else is deciding for you.
Baltimore, Kentucky, Murphy O'Neill.
Who's that?
Hospital porter. Just back from his American road trip.
Make sure you're registered to vote. Go to checktheregister.ie and be a voter, so that it's your voice that's heard. From Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
Oh, Brookie must juicy come to Auntie Hannah.
Are you a car mechanic interested in learning about electric vehicles? Northwest Regional College is delivering a 15-week course which will provide learners with a Level 4 UK or Level 6 Irish electric vehicle qualification. This cross-border programme is funded by the Department for the Economy in partnership with ATU, NWRC and the Northwest Tertiary Education Cluster. Applications close on the 19th of January at noon. Visit nwrc.ac.uk to find out more.
Discover comfort with iHeating and Cooling, your trusted heat pump engineers and Mitsubishi approved service providers in Donegal. We design, install and maintain cutting-edge heating systems. Build a lasting relationship with us through annual service and comprehensive after-sales support. Contact us for a free consultation on low-cost, low-carbon heating solutions. Visit iheatingandcooling.ie today.
Easy Living Furniture's biggest ever winter sale is on, but ends Sunday. This is your last chance to avail of these amazing discounts. Absolutely everything reduced across sofa, dining, bedroom, mattress, and accessories. It's the furniture you want at amazing winter sale prices. Winter sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
This morning, cold with widespread frost and icy stretches. Any lingering showers will die out, leaving a dry day with spells of sunshine. Turning cloudier from the west later this afternoon and evening. Cold with highs of 4 or 5 degrees. As southwest winds increase moderate to fresh through the day. And the general consensus seems to be that... it'll start off cold tonight, but the temperatures will increase overnight and it'll become relatively mild. And then we're into wet and windy, milder weather for the rest of the weekends and into next week. And it could be actually really quite unpleasant at times. Okay, but we'll be done with ice and snow for a while, at least. You're tuned to the 9 till noon show. We've got a very busy 10 to 11. Stay with us for that. And then coming up after 11, Michael and Fanul will be making some recommendations on the small screen, the big screen, the stage. And we're going to be featuring and highlighting some local events as well too. We use that hour to support some events or musicians or whatever might be going on. So it's a mixed bag. We hope you'll stick around and we'll be back with that after we take a break for the news and the obituary notices. Loads of your comments on the way as well too, by the way. It's been really, really busy.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Is that the new Opel?
Yes, of course.
Does it really look that good?
Yes, of course.
Is it fun to drive?
Yes, of course.
Is it packed with smart tech?
Yes, of course.
Can I test drive it right now at Manor Motors Opel?
Yes, of course.
The new Opel Corsa, now available. Hybrid and electric coming soon. See manormotors.ie for details.
As the exclusive sponsors of the Donegal Sports Star Awards, Donegal County Council takes this opportunity to wish the committee every success with the 2023 awards ceremony, which will take place on Friday night, the 26th of January, in the Mount Erical Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets for the awards can be booked by contacting the Mount Erical Hotel on 074 9106 700.
LK Bikes now ready for Bike to Work 2024. Use your bike to work benefits for bikes and safety equipment, including e-bikes, up to the value of €1,500. Visit our showroom to explore a comprehensive selection of e-bikes, leisure bikes, road bikes and mountain bikes. Available for you to try out or shop online at lkbikes.com with free nationwide delivery. LK Bikes, Letterkenny.
At iMotors, our brand new Kia 241 range is ready to go for immediate delivery. As Donegal's home for Kia, with 7 years warranty and low finance rates from 1.9% on EV cars and 3.9% on the rest of the range. Check out our stylish and diverse range at imotors.ie. iMotors, your local Kia dealership.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. 2 men in their 20s have been arrested following an armed robbery in Rathmullen. It happened at a business premises on Pound Street yesterday evening. Gardaí say that around 7 p.m, a man entered the premises armed with a knife and threatened staff. He left with a large sum of money and no one was injured. During investigations, Milford Gardaí recovered both the money and the weapon and made the arrests. The men are currently detained under Section 4 of the Criminal Justice Act 1984. Donegal County Council is being urged to install speed ramps at Coylan Court at top of the bridge end Ramelton in order to enhance safety measures and make the roads safer. Councillor John O'Donnell was told there are no plans to install ramps in the area at the moment, but funding is being sought to improve access into Ramelton village from Coylan Court, especially for pedestrians. Councillor O'Donnell says that's welcome, but conditions attached to a recent planning application show the need for measures to tackle speed.
The Planning Authority and the Donegal County Council carried out a good thorough review of the whole area, and they have conditioned the planning application to carry out safety measures. In relation to my motion here today, it's calling on speed ramps and traffic calming measures to be put in place at the bridge end and up at Coylan Court and Ramelton. For a long number of years, there's people been making representations, and now because there's going to be development work carried out, I think it's vital that before any more development takes place that we carry out these traffic calming and safety measures a matter of urgency.
Gardaí are continuing to investigate what caused yesterday's explosion at a homeless shelter in Dublin City. A man in his 30s was killed in the blast on Little Britain Street in North Inner City. The armed bomb disposal team carried out a controlled explosion at the premises late last night. Shauna Bowers, reporter with the Irish Times, says DePaul operates the hostel.
All other residents in the centre were otherwise accommodated last night, and they thanked the Dublin Region Homeless Executive and their other NGO partners who assisted them in that regard.
Another deadline to restore Stormont has passed. It's now over to the Secretary of State to tell us what direction Northern Ireland will now take. James Gould has more.
At this moment in time, the Secretary of State actually falls under a legal obligation to call an Assembly election. But in a statement issued shortly after midnight, he says he will introduce legislation that will address the executive formation period and support Northern Ireland's departments. I understand that will come next week, so no election just yet. Yesterday, hundreds of thousands of public sector workers took to the streets on strike across the country over a pay dispute. Paying those workers is something else Mr Heaton-Harris might have to address.
The Education Minister is being told by her Fine Gael government colleagues that she has 3 months to sort out the school transport scheme. 130,000 school children avail of the school bus places, but some families face delays in getting their tickets at the start of this current academic year. A review of the scheme was launched in February 2021 and is understood to be on Minister Norma Foley's desk. Fine Gael Senator Tim Lombard says she has 12 weeks to make sure the new scheme is fit for purpose.
Basically, in April, you have the closing date for your actual tickets. So you have to apply
by next April to get your ticket for next September. If Norman Foley doesn't have this system rolled out and a new scheme in place, we're working off the old scheme again, which means literally we're going to be 18 months away before a new scheme in place with new changes will be in place, which is going to be terrible for the people that are literally left off the school bus.
Ice and frost are causing difficulties again this morning as the cold snap continues. Driving conditions are hazardous, with road users being urged to slow down and drive with care. Temperatures should start to pick up later today and over the weekend. Meanwhile, PSNI have issued a similar appeal to drivers, and that is to take extreme caution on the roads today as many remain untreated. Advice is to ensure your vehicle is roadworthy before setting out on your journey and leaving extra time to reach your destination. Slow down and leave room for other motorists is also recommended. Looking now to weather, this morning was cold, widespread frost and icy stretches. Any lingering showers will quickly die out, leaving a dry day with spells of sunshine. Turning cloudier from the west later this afternoon and evening, cold with highs of 4 or 5 degrees as southwesterly winds increase moderate to fresh through the day. That's all for now. Back again at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Friday morning, January 19th. The death has occurred of Fred Sweeney, St Peter's Terrace, Chapel Road, Dunlow. His remains will be reposing at his own home today from 1 o'clock. Rosary both nights at 8 o'clock. Funeral Mass on Sunday at 11 a.m. in St Corona's Church, Dunlow, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and also private on the morning of the funeral. The death has occurred of Bernie Friel, 12 Castle Park, Buncrana. Bernie's remains will be reposing at the residence of her daughter and son-in-law, Amy and Willie McCallion, at Mintahalla, Ballymagan, Buncrana, from 2 o'clock today. Funeral on Monday, leaving at 10 a.m, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Carita Jahollam Mink Glen McCanniv Glenties. A memorial service for Carita will take place in the Highlands Hotel Glenties at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Everyone welcome. Family home private, please, at the request of the deceased. On Tuesday morning at approximately 11 a.m, Carita's funeral cortege will travel via Kilrain Glenties en route to Dublin Airport. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the Alzheimer's Society or Irish Cancer Society, care of James McGuinness and Sons Funeral Directors, Main Street, Glenties. The death has occurred of Geraldine Hughes, Goland, formerly Coventry, England. Remains reposing at McCool's Chapel of Rest, Ballybuffet, on Sunday from 6 p.m. until Rosary at 9 p.m. Funeral leaving from there on Monday at 9:40 a.m. for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Session at 10 a.m. Interment in Drumbo Cemetery. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish YouTube channel. Donations in lieu of flowers, if so desired, to Woodville Ward, St Joseph's Community Hospital, Stranorlar, care of McCool's Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Mary B. McGinty, ní Gallagher, Cloughan Cloughan. Remains reposing at McCool's Chapel of Rest, Ballybuffet today and tomorrow from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m, where all are welcome to pay their respects. Rosary tonight at 8 p.m. and tomorrow at 10 p.m. Funeral leaving there Sunday at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in the Church of Our Lady of Perpetual Succour, Glenfin, at 11 a.m. Interment in Kilwara Cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv. The death has taken place of Eileen McLaughlin ní McDermott, Craig Road, Muff. Funeral from her home, Craig Road, Muff, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to St Angus Church, Burt, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m. Interment afterwards in Burt Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Hazel Crumlish, Drummaville, Malin. Hazel's remains are reposing at her home. Funeral Mass for Hazel would take place on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. in St Columba's Church, Balnacray, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Family flowers only, or if desired, donations in lieu to ICU Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Here are last week's road safety figures. Over 3,000. The number of penalty point notices issued, 159. The number of drivers arrested on suspicion of drink or drug driving, and 3. The number of people killed on our roads. Behind these numbers is a story of lost lives, broken families, and devastated communities. If you can improve just one thing about your driving, you can help save lives on our roads. From the Road Safety Authority and An Garda Síochána.
And now, IMRO's 2023 Best Local or Regional News Programme, The Voice of the Northwest, the 9 till noon show with Greg Hughes.
Okay, just to remind you, coming up after 11 o'clock, we have That's Entertainment. Michael and Fnul will be in studio with us. It's just a way to ease us into the weekend. It's been a heavy show all week, covering really important issues, and it's nice then just to sort of maybe switch off a little bit and talk about other things. So if you're all people are saying to me, not all people, two people have said to me, I've finished Fool Me Once, what can I watch next, and so on and so forth. So if you're watching something good in the telly, you've been to the cinema, the theatre, hey, read a good book, listening to a good podcast, anything like that at all, just to have a bit of a chat about different things. Ergo Crash closed today due to the weather, I've been asked to mention. Hi Greg, I am in Inishowen, and it took me 2 weeks to get a doctor's appointment. Thanks for that, Jerry. Plenty of Irish signed on the dole, done the double, worked the black market when they went abroad. Not all paid tax and worked the system. Hi, Greg. There will not be many tourists coming to Ireland with the prices of hotels and drinks. We're ripped off in this country big time. It must be because of who he is that he and his family are able to get an appointment whenever he contacts the surgery. I've been on numerous occasions unable to get an appointment for the doctor. It's more difficult than when you're a full-time worker, as all the appointments are gone when you phone on your lunch break or afternoon. Greg, another peaceful assembly in Buncrana on Saturday. Next, these gatherings inflame people and do more harm than good. Some would see it as. Michael McNamara, the independent TV, mentioned in the Dáil yesterday, asking how thousands can get on a commercial flight without documentation. Well, they don't. If documents go missing, it's mid-flight. Now, the government now have people at the gates, we're told. But anyway, he is also a barrister and said that it is a criminal offence to come to Ireland with no documentation. Under 4,000 people have come to Ireland without documentation in the past year. Who's at fault here for letting people into the country without documents? Immigration or the airlines? Have you yourself ever been allowed into a country without documentation? No. But they get off the plane and they say, we're claiming asylum, and apparently we have a legal obligation then to process that. Now, does that mean they've no documentation becomes secondary? I don't know. I really just don't know. Damien must be one of the very few if he can get a doctor and a house to rent all at one time. Emer, much more realistic. Everyone talks about climate change and says it's the farmer's fault. It's the government's exporting good quality meat to import poorer quality products. The government exporting products to get a higher price and import cheaper products. As a young farmer, it makes me very angry how we're treated. And I would love to speak to more young farmers. And their age doesn't matter. But just to give us all a reality check. So many doctors working in Donegal from other countries. Sudan must supply the most foreign doctors to this country. We should welcome people from abroad willing to work. Young Irish people going to Australia and Dubai. It's a lifestyle choice, not because they can't get work here, but the biggest problem is housing, that not enough accommodation is being built. I would say that, and I have a lot of young people in my life, I don't believe it is specifically just a lifestyle choice in all occasions. Unfortunately, a lot of young people say there's nothing here for me, or they feel there's nothing here for me. Now, if that's a reality or not, I'm sure it is a reality for some. But it's not just a lifestyle choice. And I'll I'll tell you, and by coincidence, while the 10 o'clock news was on, I put a post up, and I can't really relate it, but I'll show it up. I'll show it up on my phone here for those of you who are watching. And it is a picture of loads of Irish people, and they're on the steps of, it looks like the Sydney Opera House, and they're nurses and they're teachers. And on the poster, it says, and this was posted 5 years ago, on the poster it says, #GiveUsAReason to come home. So they're over there, lots of them, and they're all young looking, and they want to come home. That was 5 years ago. So I take it, yes, I take your point. Of course, people are going for a life experience, but a lot of people feel they've got no choice but to get out. Irish people have opposed mass immigration every time they've had a chance. Opinion polling, citizenship referenda, and now on the streets of our towns. We never consented to Ireland becoming minority Irish. We're a very, 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 very long way from Ireland to becoming minority Irish. I'm not contradicting you, but as I said in Donegal, 1 in 100 people are IPAS. Whilst we have taken a lot of people, and this is just a factual statement, okay, we've taken in an awful lot of Ukrainians and an awful lot of international protection people. There's no doubt about that, and I'm not questioning the pressure that's put on services and schools and on all of that type of stuff. But the idea that Ireland is, or people of Donegal are becoming a minority or can become a minority in any short space of time is completely unrealistic. If you don't mind me saying, the only person speaking in sense there is Damien Dowds. Hi, Greg. Can you imagine living in a house with Micah, let's say about 2 years ago, when the powers that be say there's no accommodation for you until your home is fixed, and then watching asylum seekers landing and being put up in hotels? I think that was a kick in the teeth too much. And now politicians are making money from empty houses to fill. Yeah, indeed. Maybe the reason that lots of protesters have the time to protest is that they all have jobs, like all our government ministers with lots of time off, perhaps. Read the protests. It's quite ironic, the people who are making such arrogant comments. Many have come from other countries themselves and have relatives in other countries, where are half of our young people, Australia, Dubai, Canada and the likes. Pretty much a lot of the people that are the faces of the stronger language are they've been migrants themselves. They're married to migrants. They've got family that are working in other countries. But I don't know if that's an irony or not. But anyway, this caller says the issue is in terms on which they come. They need to be allocated jobs, roles, and employment on arrival, rather than everything handed on a plate, just like those from our own country should be doing. There needs to be much better use of CE schemes and the like. People see it as not being paid enough to work, only on a scheme attitude. The scheme's excellent terms and conditions with opportunities to upskill and medical cards, etc. It's the rollout of it needs development, should be utilised much more effectively. A couple more just before we take the bingo numbers. It's a class issue. Why is there now a barrier around government buildings? They're completely out of touch with the people on the ground, and yes, the workers. And another, providing a house for Ukrainian family, mother and daughter. They arrived and were delighted and signed a contract. Within half an hour of leaving, 3 men arrived at the house, and 15 minutes later the woman texted and said she couldn't take the house. So you have to wonder what's going on there. Last one, just before the break. I'm currently trying to rent a single room for a working person. I take home €540 a week, and people are asking €650 a month plus bills. It's just not practical. Interestingly, just this week, 2 landlords came back to offer me reduced rate of €500 a month plus bills. So if people refuse to pay this type of money and hold out, it will teach greedy landlords their demands are not acceptable. All right.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 19th of January. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S15. It's game number 3. The numbers are 69, 46, 34, 57, 81, 43, 23, 28, 80, and finally 29. Phone your claim to 91048333 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Actions speak louder than words, so I'll keep the words to a minimum. Last year, thousands of people chose Seat for their new car. Why? Because with the Arona, Ateca and Tarraco, we have a stunning lineup of SUVs. And we offer a wide range of purchase options to suit your needs. To see what you've been missing out on, visit seat.ie and check out our 241 offers. Visit seat.ie. What? What are you waiting for? Go on. Seat.ie for our 241 offers.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Donegal County Council is delighted to announce the Community Climate Action Fund is now open for applications. The fund is open to not-for-profit organisations such as community groups and clubs and comes in 2 strands. Strand 1 is for direct climate action aimed at building low-carbon communities in Donegal. Strand 1A is for shared island climate action projects with partners from Northern Ireland. For more information on both strands and how to apply, visit donegalcoco.ie. Donegal County Council, building sustainable communities.
Saturday's Lotto jackpot is an estimated €13.5 million. So, what's the first thing you'd do at €13.5 million? That is genius. Better get a ticket soon. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Caller says people who come to Ireland on a work visa are not being accommodated by the state. A couple on the roads here. I live in Athlone in Letterkenny and we desperately need grit. Cars are sliding all over the place. My neighbour attempted to get out for work this morning. He was just sliding. People are coming in at Gortley and coming out at the roads across from ATU. It's so dangerous and slippy. And the footpath from Marigold College down to the high road's very slippy. I'm even wearing snow boots and I'm having to walk on the road. De Valera Road's very slippy too. Everyone, please be careful. It's so slippy and dangerous, it needs to be gritted. It might not be gritted at this stage, but I think as things begin to thaw, it might even get a little bit more slippy. Greg, watching you for the first time on our smart TV, you're looking well. Nice shirt. Well, thank you very much indeed. You're looking well yourself. Sorry to drag down the tone of the visuals now. Piers Doherty's shirt, I don't think it's quite as expensive as mine, Piers. You're muted, I think, or I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. I might have to bring you back in here. I can't hear what you're saying, Piers. So what I'll do is I'll kick you out and bring you back in the hope that resolves that situation. 08660 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. You are tuned to the 9 till noon show, of course, and it's great to have you all on board. Right, I'll get to some more of your comments, of course, and we'll start with this one. All of the Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael buddies are making a fortune out of taxpayers' money. Not exclusively, but I understand what you're saying. Are these politicians so short-sighted that they can't see the permanent impact of such an influx on a small nation and changes both culturally and economically it will leave in its wake? Okay, Piers, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Oh, fine. And I've got you too, which is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much for that. And your shirt looks fine, by the way. It's not often I get a compliment, so I thought I'd just lean into it. Right, funny. We've been talking about issues of housing over the last hour. It all kind of comes back to housing because we're talking about people struggling to get properties, and then people sort of look to immigration and what we're doing and how we're dealing with that. But I mean, a lot of the shortage. In terms of homes or interference in the market, I don't know how you might describe it, is coming from people buying up homes. So what exactly are the figures telling us?
Well, look, one of the things in what's dominating the political debate is the Dáil returns, is the fact that it's revealed again that vulture funds are snapping up homes in a large degree, despite the fact that the government, after they were kind of caught out on this in 2021, promised us that this would be stopped. they introduced what is a new tax or an additional tax on vulture funds buying up properties. They introduced it at 10%. Now, this is something that I was campaigning on for years before there was any publicity. I was putting down amendments to the finance bill. Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil were voting against it because I could see that these funds were buying up properties that they weren't investing in. They didn't pay for them. They weren't financing them. They were just buying them up at the end of the day. And look, the government parties voted against that. But when it kind of spilled into the national media, and there was an estate in Maynooth, if you recall, in 2021, where 135 homes were being bought up by the vulture fund, the public really got really angry at that, and government had to act. Now, what they did was they designed this tax, which I said was designed to fail. It was never going to stop the vulture funds, and unfortunately, we've been proven correct, Craig, because the new figures released to me this week shows that there's 1,205 homes that have been bought by vulture funds that just paid this tax. And what they've done, because they paid more tax now, what they've done is they're charging exorbitant rent. So as bad as things are in Donegal, if you're looking to rent one of these houses in Dublin, if your child is up there or your sister or brother's up there, they're looking for €3,175 per month.
So they are they're not discouraged by the tax. They're still buying up these homes, and they just pass on that tax to the customer. And presumably, the way this works, they're doing it to make money. They're taking the opportunity for people to buy these houses at a low price, first-time buyers, for an example, and then they're putting on their premium, their investment, and that tax, and then the purchaser or the renter obviously then having to pay way more than they would have ordinarily.
That's exactly it. And like we argued when the government were kind of caught out on this in 2021, when they said they were going to introduce this, what we were calling for was an increased stamp duty, but they set the rate at 10%. We says, look, that these funds have what's called a return of investment. So they have a kind of number that they're looking to get. So if they buy for X, then they need to charge Y to get this kind of 4% or whatever percentage that they are targeting. So if we just make the property a bit more expensive for them, what they do is they just increase. So we increase X, they'll just increase Y, they'll increase their rents. And we've said that the problem with 10% is that's exactly what will happen.
How does 17%, though? I think you're proposing a tax of at least 17%. So how does 17% work where 10% doesn't?
Yeah, so thanks for reflecting that. And our point is that anything below 17% will not be effective. So we think that if you do 16%, it just simply won't work. And it was based on return of investment and what we thought was the pinch point, and we talked to experts at the time. But the key thing is, I said, the point is it's at least 17%. So if it needs to be 25% or 50%, so be it. That's not an issue. The issue here for us is we want to stamp out this practice. Stamp duty, by increasing it to a level, can stamp out this practice. And that's what the motion before the Dáil is, and what people will be voting on this week. So it's kind of, in a lot of politics, sometimes, there's nuances and, there's unintended consequences and all this here. This isn't one of those. This is a very black and white issue. This is a really, as I said, this is a choice. People need to make a decision. Which side are you on? Are you on the side of vultures, or are you on the side of people who are homes? And what happens in Dublin, unfortunately, it's not just Dublin, it's Galway as well, and other cities, impacts on house prices in other areas. So this is a very, very black and white issue, and we're very clear on this here. Like, I strongly believe that government is on the side of vultures. They allow them to continue to buy up apartments without any restrictions whatsoever. In Dublin, 70% of all homes in Dublin that are constructed any year are apartments. And as I said, they've introduced this measure which is designed to fail. And they've been told, Greg, like, so if you're sitting at home and you listen to when this story broke and you heard the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar on, he says, we need to look at how this has happened, or Darrell O'Brien, we need to examine this here. They know exactly what's happening. Like, they're trying to take us for fools. The Department of Finance told the Minister for Finance last year in the tax strategy papers, these papers are published in July, they're available to anybody to see. They told the Minister that vulture funds are still buying up homes in their hundreds. And they said that the measures that were introduced in 2021 are simply not working. Like, this isn't new to government.
So you've picked a figure of at least 17, but what you're saying is that it has to be whatever it is to stop this practice altogether. It's not that you want to make. It's not that you believe the state can make more money out of this through taxing the vulture funds. You actually want them to be taxed out of doing this completely, whatever that figure might be.
Exactly. So this is about a ban on vulture funds buying properties that should otherwise be available to first-time buyers entering the market, or those who are buying up or trading up from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom house or whatever. That's the intention here. When this broke in 2021 publicly, the government said that was their intention as well. Well, I'm saying that if we're putting you to a test, it's not working. I think the public anger is going to force them to move again on this here, but they need to now move at a number that stops this practice. So if you introduced 100%, that's a ban, because nobody's going to pay, from 450,000 for a house to 900,000 for a house. If you introduce a 50% ban or a tax, that's also a ban, because you're not going to be able to pass that on. Percent is not going to work, but obviously the higher that number is, the more sure you're going to be that it's a ban.
What is your take? Thanks for that. What's your take on what's happening at the moment in the likes of Roscrea and elsewhere? And we're going to see it again. Anti-immigrant protests, or I don't know if it is that, but the the government's way of dealing with this might be a better way. Some people might find it reflects what they're doing more fairly. What is your party's position at this point as to what is going on? If you're in government today, what, if anything, changes?
So I think Roscrea, obviously, I think anybody who's seen the scenes in Roscrea, and people drew comparisons to Holy Cross, and that was the images that people had in terms of young kids and being walked in, and that's not acceptable in my view. I don't I've had children myself. They're a lot older than that now, but nobody should have children in that situation. And people who are coming here obviously are in many cases fleeing war-torn countries. So they've already made that journey. They're already fearful, not knowing where they're going, all of that. I just don't think that is appropriate. And we've said that those type of protests should not happen outside of where people are now living. So that's the first thing. So I think that's very clear. The second thing is Roscrea is an example of a community who has welcomed people for international protection and Ukrainians into their community, and there wasn't an issue, there wasn't protest. They've supported people coming in. But government policy is completely wrong here, Greg. And it does need to be called out. Government policy is dictated only by where the premises is to house these. And we know that there's a lot of greed. We know that there's a lot of money being made on the back of this here. Government policy is not looking at these so.
But there is a continuous influx of people, okay, and there is at the moment an obligation to house them. If in government, Sinn Féin, I presume, would meet that obligation, but where would you house these people? Or would you try and limit the numbers of people coming into this country? Because, as I say, if you were in government today, you still have people getting off planes who we have an obligation to at least process. So what actually would Sinn Féin do differently?
Yeah, so there's a number of things. First of all, we do need to have a very strong rules-based system. Okay, so this idea of open door policy is just nonsense and not acceptable, and nobody supports that. But we need to have a strong rules-based system. But that means that when people are here and they're processed, and the processing needs to be done a lot faster, where we're slipping there in terms of times, in terms of processing people. But when people are processed and they've gone through the appeals process and they've given a deportation order, we need to know that they're being deported, Greg. We can, when the government talks about there was so many deportations, in the main what they're talking about was letters were issued. We got figures recently that showed that there was, I think it was hundreds of people in state-sponsored accommodation that has deportation orders. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, we have what, 600 people lying on the streets in Dublin who have to have their applications processed and they have nowhere to go. So we need to tighten up the system. We need to look at the designation of safe countries and to see whether that needs to be expanded. But crucially, to go to the heart of your question, there needs to be a proper plan. 2 years ago, when the Ukrainian war, it's nearly 2 years ago now, broke out, we were told by government that we could be expecting up to 200,000 refugees. Now, we haven't got that. It's about half that. But there's no plan. And if you look at areas like Donegal, for example, our own county, look at South Donegal. South Donegal has 8% of people in South Donegal, 9% of close to between 8 or 9% of people in South Donegal are either Ukrainian or people looking for international refugee. That is a huge proportion of people in any community. But then if you look at places in the Midlands, in some cases, it's less than 1%.
So fundamentally, then the only difference might be, and the government would say they do have a rules-based, policy in. You would speed up the processing of people. You'd make sure those who shouldn't be here are actually deported, and you would spread the numbers around Ireland a little bit more fairly. I mean, is that really effectively what? Because a lot of people are saying that we need to stop taking anybody in here because we simply can't absorb the numbers. But your party wouldn't go that far.
No, well, first of all, in terms of those seeking refugee status, it doesn't matter whether they're coming from America or France. The international rules is you have to.
But some say there is this sense, though, that there's an opt-out, that we opted into this and we could opt out as other countries in Europe had. Would Sinn Féin be in favour of opting out of this?
What we've, in terms of Ukrainians, that is a separate matter, and there is a major issue in terms of what's happened in terms of Ukraine, because some of and some of this has been dealt with in terms of legislation. The supports that are provided here are way out of kilter with what's happened in the rest of Europe. The idea that we gave, this order, which has been renewed once now, it comes to an end in 2025, in March 2025, and we're saying very clearly that shouldn't be extended. That this order means that Ukrainians do not have to seek international protection. They automatically have the right to stay here for a period. And that means that even if they aren't fleeing war-torn Ukraine, it may be a case that they moved out of Ukraine many years ago and they've been living in Germany for a while. Now they're moving. So that isn't appropriate. Like, if you're fleeing a war, you should apply for... And if you're not coming from a place that is war and torn, then you do need to go back to the place where you originated from. So there are things that can be done in terms of tightening up.
But there still is an awful lot of people that
he can absorb a certain amount.
Yeah.
We had no issues in a lot of communities when Ukrainians were coming in or IPAS refugees were coming in. But when the last hotel goes, and when we look at the big impact that it has in terms of tourism, then communities start to wonder. Well,
I get you. But just the last question, though, Pierce. Last question, if you don't mind. I've taken up more time than we asked of. But of course, you talk about what might need to be done against Ukraine, in the Ukraine situation, I beg your pardon. What you talk about, people that are coming here from countries that aren't war-torn, but there still are going to be thousands upon thousands of people coming from war-torn countries, from maybe there could be fleeing a climate crisis, whatever it might be. So they are still going to come to Ireland and be able to make an argument to stay. You're saying your party won't change that. You still will continue to accept people who are genuinely seeking protection. That will continue under a Sinn Féin government, and you'll have to come up with ways of housing them.
So what we're saying, Greg, and Ukrainians are the largest portion of people who are coming here seeking protection, and they're coming through this order, which they don't have to go through a process. What we're saying is that should not be renewed. We should not be providing a carte blanche in relation to that, and that those who are fleeing war from Ukraine should obviously be accommodated here and supported here in all the ways that we have to meet our international obligations. But we cannot provide this kind of what has happened in terms of the European order, which will come to an end next year, and our government should not be looking to renew that in a different form. We need to be preparing now for actually the processing of applications. So we had this before. So Kosovo was an example of this before, where there was a temporary order provided where people could come from Kosovo. 1,000 people came at the time, so it was a smaller number compared to Ukrainians. 75% of them went back. 75% of them went back after a period of time. So there needs to be preparation in relation to the plan, but there also needs to be a plan about how is areas that have got like 0.25% of their population are international protections. How are they going to absorb, what are the plans there? Because we can't just leave it to private operators, and some of them are dominant in the system, where they identify another property in Ballyshannon or Bundoran or Donegal town, offer it to the department, and the department are desperate. They're absolutely desperate. So they accept it without any reference point to capacity in schools, education, hospitals, GPs. the impact it's having on the tourism sector. That just simply can't happen. Like I'm very much of the view that every community has an ability to absorb and welcome, and we've seen that in the past. But like, you have to have a plan here, and government have a plan. The plan is let the private sector decide, and no matter, and that's what happened to Ross Cray. That's the farcical situation where we're in now, where the department go into a contract to take the last hotel in the town, close down that hotel for ordinary business, and now they're talking about buying another hotel for the community. Like, you just couldn't make this up. This is laughable. Whereas they should be looking at not just the availability of premises, but also the impact that this could have in a community. And we've said this. I've said this very strongly. Myself and Padraig McLaughlin have said this to the minister over and over again in relation to, like, you're not looking at capacity issues, and that needs to be factored into your approach.
Pierce, listen, thanks very much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. That's Sinn Féin Deputy Pierce Doherty there on vulture funds coming in and buying up houses, and also to what their policy might be in terms of dealing with immigration. I think mainly particularly IPAS. It seems IPAS applicants, people seem to have a particular concern as to how that's being dealt with. But anyway, those are the questions. Those were the answers.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Farm Advisors Down Tools. For more in your Irish Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Thousands of farmers could be left in the lurch as advisors set to strike in row with department. Boost as Irish beef back in the menu in China. Derogation farmers secure last-minute concessions. Farmers warned against dumping valuable slurry. Low TAMS approvals halt farm building works. How to get the best price for your calves this spring. Plus, don't miss our guide to CAO changes, agriculture courses and new apprenticeships.
Only inside the Irish Farmers Journal. On sale now.
On this week's Business Matters, after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday, my guest is Maura Toner, Food Coast Advisor at the local enterprise office in Donegal.
Business Matters, in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. For a career in financial governance, consider the Level 9 MA in Governance and IT in Financial Services, starting in January. Contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email donald.hannigan@atu.ie today.
Are you suffering from chronic pain? Letterkenny Medics are now offering specialised pain medicine services. Our expert, Dr. Anil Patel, is now taking appointments for tailored care and comprehensive pain management advice. Discover relief from persistent back and neck pain, post-surgical discomfort, or explore advanced treatments like nerve root blocks and more. Call Letterkenny Medics on 074 9202955 and start your pain-free journey today. Letterkenny Medics. We listen if you want to talk.
Easy Living Furniture's biggest ever winter sale is on, but ends Sunday. This is your last chance to avail of these amazing discounts. Absolutely everything reduced across sofa, dining, bedroom, mattress, and accessories. It's the furniture you want at amazing winter sale prices. Winter sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
All right, you're welcome back to the programme. Jennifer is with me now. Hi, Jennifer.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Now, you sent in an email on an issue that you're having with the planning department. What's going on?
I sent in, I'm looking to plan a build on our house on our land. Mm-hmm. And the planning department came back and asked for further information that I was close to a standing stone. I did some research on the standing stone. I looked at other filing applications in the area, and it no longer exists, as per an archaeological report. I contacted planning, and my architect actually sent the report over, or talked to them also about it, and I've been told that I have no choice but to redo the report that they're fully within their rights to request it.
So
the report costs between 900 and 1,300 euros.
Right. So, but they have an existing archaeological report on their files.
Yes.
But
it doesn't matter, or it doesn't seem to matter.
So they want you to do another one as well?
Yes. All I keep getting told is that they're fully within their rights to request it, even though I have a report in front of me saying the standing stone does not exist.
Right, okay, so surely then you would imagine that this archaeological report, the previous one, would have updated whatever the system is to reflect the fact that this standing stone no longer exists, rather than it have to be continually proven that it does no longer exist.
Exactly, that's my point.
No,
but I don't know where I'm supposed to go with this information, and I contacted my architect last week, and I keep getting the runaround and told the exact same thing, that they can ask for whatever they want and that I shouldn't really say anything because it could be repercussions or they'll just deny my planning.
Yeah. Well,
and then it'll cost me more money and I'll still have to do the report.
Okay. Now, is it a point of principle here that you don't believe you should have to, but if you wanted to, you could commission another report? It could cost up to €1,300. You could resubmit your application. Is your point, why should I have to do that?
Absolutely. I feel like we have to pay enough money. If this standing stone existed and was within proximity to my build, I would do it because I believe in historical preservation. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't be kept over a barrel and have to spend money that's not necessary.
No, and there's obviously a fault in the system if the records of where these stones aren't updated when an archaeological report is accepted to prove that it isn't there. So you're being... I mean, theoretically, forever, people could be paying €1,400, €1,300 to prove this stone no longer exists.
Exactly. And I guarantee that I'm not the first one that's had to fork over this money. I spent 2 days researching my local area and all standing stones and filing applications to just to see if other people, even that are closer to this supposed standing stone, actually had to do it, and they didn't. And I also queried that with planning. And they were like, well, it's our choice to ask for it.
Right, okay. Well, we'll make inquiries. We probably will get the, we can't comment on individual cases, but we'll make the inquiries nonetheless, and hopefully it raises up. I'm sure the planning department will not look unfavourably on you just for highlighting this. You're perfectly entitled to do that, and it's no insult to the actual staff themselves. You're calling out the system, and I'm sure this won't work against you. But leave it with us, Jennifer. We'll find out, see what the story is. It seems really bizarre. Why do people have to continuously prove the standing stone no longer stands in this area?
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care of yourself. Have a lovely weekend. Hi, Greg. Did Pierce ever get car insurance prices to come down after 10 years of waffle? I don't know. What's your premiums like? I got a quote for my insurance. Maybe it's just because I'm old now. I got a quote for my insurance for €350, which I thought was really good. Now, I'm not saying it's because of Pierce Doherty. Could or couldn't be. I don't know what the story is. But €350, which to me, because I used to pay 6, 7, 8, seemed pretty good. But that was just my experience. And I'll tell you, and I might not go with them, but it was through an app that a lot of you out there might have, that you lodge money into the app and you can spend from there. Revolut, actually, I might as well just say it. They're doing car insurance and they quoted me $350, which was $100 cheaper than what I'm paying currently or being offered currently with another insurance company. But then again, you have to see everything that you get with an insurance policy. But I was quite surprised, actually. Pierce is there talking about vulture funds. The average person in Donegal doesn't know what a vulture fund is. An uneducated person like myself doesn't know. He needs to speak in plain terms. Well, it is a investment fund. In this case, there was a number of houses that were bought in. Let me just get the info for you. So there were 46 family homes built in Belcamp Manor in Balgriffin in Dublin, just for an example. So this investment fund, really, so it is. It maybe they invest in terms of people's pensions or whatever it might be. This investment fund said, right, there's 46 new houses. They came in and bought the houses, right, and then they become. This is their business then. So they either sell them on or rent them out as an investment. So they're called vulture funds because, or it's probably an investment fund of the vulture funds because vultures swoop in, don't they? And they sort of pick at the carcasses and what have you. So that's where they get their name. So, but what it is, it's an investment fund, and a lot of people with a pension, maybe their pension is being invested in investment funds like this, as an example, and they generate money by buying up these houses and then charging first-time buyers or Irish renters higher rates, and then that drives up the market as well. So that's kind of what if that helps. I've probably made it even more confusing. I hope I haven't, but that's what a vulture fund stroke investment fund is.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Boots Best for Less. Here to help you save more on the products you love. Whether you're flirting with a new look, ooh, look at you, practicing a little self-care, or blushing over new beauty. We're with you for getting the best and nothing less. Shop the products you love at prices you love even more and get the best for less at Boots. Boots, with you for life. See boots.ie for details.
Attention school leavers. Join us for Southwest College's full-time and apprenticeship open days. Visit our campuses in Dungannon on the 23rd of January, Enniskillen on the 30th of January, and Uma on the 6th of February from 3 to 7 p.m. Participate in workshops and demonstrations and meet your future tutors. Whether you're passionate about business, engineering, healthcare or the arts, we have something for everyone. Study near, go far at Southwest College. Visit swc.ac.uk for details.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
It's the sale of the century at Milford Tiles. Unbelievable deals now on. 20% off all tiles and bathware in store. Free standard underlay with all wooden floors. Fitters and delivery service available. That's Milford Tiles. Big January sale now on. Call 083 091 0707.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, any lingering showers will quickly die out, leaving a dry day with spells of sunshine, turning cloudier from the west later this afternoon and evening, cold with highs of 4 or 5 degrees. Now, it's hard to believe that the 13th of March will be the 7th anniversary of the murder of Danielle McLaughlin. Danielle would have celebrated her 35th birthday on the 4th of February. There have been 232 hearings of the Danielle McLaughlin rape and murder trial taking place in South Goa. Andrea Brannigan is Danielle's mother and is with us on the programme now. How are you keeping, Andrea?
Okay.
Okay, right. So this trial has been ongoing since the 4th of July 2017. And I think we can only imagine what it must be like for you, what you're going through, especially so far removed. But what's the situation now in terms of any progress, Andrea?
Last July, they fast-tracked the court case that they gave a deadline that it has to be finished for this July. So things are progressing quicker than they were. Like, there's been 2 court hearings this week alone. So it's more positive. The judge doesn't seem to be taking any nonsense from anybody. He's always produced now at court, whereas before he wasn't produced.
So he wants this...
It's starting to look more positive.
And the judge sounds like he wants this done and dusted. It's gone on too long. So you're saying the defendant, he is appearing in court now as well?
Yes, he's appearing now too, as a female judge. She was given to the court case and a new public prosecutor last July as well, because there is no jury in Goa. So the judge will decide the verdict. And he is always attending court now. I think he's missed once.
So the Irish and UK embassies have travelled to Goa this week to meet with the police and you would hope to the public prosecutor. What's the significance of those meetings, do you think, Andrea?
Well, I'm hoping that it's maybe to even get it progress even quicker than it is. They're meeting actually today, so they arrived in Goa yesterday, so I haven't no word yet how it went today.
Are you being given any indication as to when a verdict might be delivered in this, Andrea?
They're saying July this year.
And I mean, between then, as I mentioned, Danielle's birthday's on the 4th of February, the anniversary of her murder on the 13th of March. Tough months. It's always tough for you. I know that, Andrea. And then this wait to July to find out once and for all if justice will be delivered. Are you confident justice will be delivered in the courts?
Since last July and how the court case has been progressing, yes, it would be now. It's the first time I've any more positive than it was.
And again, just to remind us, when there is a court hearing, you're not able to watch it, are you? You have to wait for your legal representatives to call you and relate what went down.
Yeah, we're not allowed to watch it, no. I have requested numerous times to view it, and it's been rejected every time.
I take it if everything moves as we hope it will you go to Goa for the sentencing or for the... Sorry, not the sentencing. We have to have a verdict first and then potentially the
final hearing. The final hearing, yes. I'm hopeful I will, yes.
Right, okay. Well, listen, let's just hope things move as it seems they are moving, and it's good the judge seems to want to get this over the line as well, and the Irish and UK embassies are still involved and having those meetings as you've described. Okay, Andrea, we'll speak to you, of course, over the coming months, and with fingers crossed that this could finally be it for you in terms of this part of the loss of Danielle. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care of yourself. Bye-bye. That's Andrea Brannigan, who's been through an awful time. I mean, obviously, if you lose a son or daughter, as many of you out there will know how that feels, that in itself is devastating. Then the circumstances of their passing, another thing to have to deal with on top of that. And then struggling to get justice in a legal system in a far-flung part of the world where you're only sort of told what's going on and you're trying to track it. And there's been so many frustrations over the last 6.5 years with just with how the system over there is working. So hopefully now this new catalyst continues and a verdict is delivered in July, and hopefully justice is delivered as well for Andrea. Okay, and we appreciate Andrea through everything she's going through, speaking to us on the programme. At what stage do we as the island of Ireland say we now have accepted a maximum number of immigrants and we will continue to care for them? However, we have now no more room at the inn, says a listener there. Greg, the Minister, Heather Humphreys, had a cheek with her and the rest of the Dáil only back at work after Christmas on January 17th at 2 p.m. It seems they also have time to protest with so much time off. Heather reminded me of Joan Burton asking how protesters of water charges could afford iPhones. They go low with the insults. They're not lost, and that means they've lost the argument. Hi, Greg. Will you be having Luke Ming-Flanagan on read the European recommendation? He was the MEP who brought the matter to Europe. Yes, I've been communicating with Luke Ming. Yesterday, in fact, and I think he's coming on with us on Monday, is the answer to that question. Right, let's take a break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
If you've been bereaved by suicide or know someone who has, HUG is the National Suicide Bereavement Charity. Join us on Saturday the 20th of January for a free information event in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Buncrana. Expect coffee, cakes and compassionate conversations on understanding suicide grief and local supports available to adults. Doors open at 12 with the speaker at 12:30. Visit hugg.ie for more details. HUG. Hope and healing after suicide.
At SEAT, we created the Tarraco so people could enjoy an SUV with 7 seats. Then we made it so good looking that everyone kept saying, "Oh my, what is that? It's stunning." Then we got to wondering, what if we made it even better? So now you can get a limited edition 7-seater Tarraco SE Tech with stunning 18-inch alloys, intelligent park assist, electronic hands-free tailgate and comfortable heated front seats and steering wheel. The Tarraco SE Tech, our best SUV, just got even better. Search SEAT Tarraco.
Here are last week's road safety figures. Over 3,000. The number of penalty point notices issued, 159. The number of drivers arrested on suspicion of drink or drug driving, and 3. The number of people killed on our roads. Behind these numbers is a story of lost lives, broken families and devastated communities. If you can improve just one thing about your driving, you can help save lives on our roads. From the Road Safety Authority and An Garda Síochána.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com because life matters.
Harkin Fireplaces in Lifford is lighting up the new year with their massive January yard sale. Discover an impressive selection of fireplaces, stoves, electric fires, gas fires and elegant kitchen worktops, all on sale. Don't miss out on your perfect fireplace or kitchen worktop at an unbelievable price. Harkin Fireplaces' massive yard sale is now on.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Now, Michael and Fionnuala on their way to studio, I have been told. But first, let's get a news update at 11 o'clock. It's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A man entered a family store in Rathmullen yesterday and threatened staff with a knife before making off with a large sum of money. It happened at a business premises on Pound Street at around 7 o'clock. No one was injured, and during investigations, Milford Gardaí arrested 2 men who are now detained and recovered both the money and the weapon. Councillor Pádraig McGarvey says the community is shocked at the incident. A Carndonagh councillor says that uncertainty still hangs over the heads of residents at Rark na Sléibhte about the facility's future. In December, the closure of the Mental Health and Residential and Respite Centre was proposed as part of the planned reconfiguration of the Donegal Mental Health Service. Councillor Albert Doherty says while a letter was sent to elected members and members of the Regional Health Forum, there were no timelines nor firm plans for the present day included. It could be a significant day for the restoration of Stormont. It's understood DUP's party officers are meeting to discuss next steps after the latest deadline to restore power sharing lapsed at midnight. The European Parliament Petitions Committee has published its draft report on the fact-finding trip to Donegal, which took place in October last. The report, which deals with the leaders concrete products, will be discussed at the Petitions Committee in Brussels on Tuesday. Luke Ming Flanagan says this report government will have the opportunity to take action. And finally, the Education Minister has been told by her Fine Gael government colleagues that she has 3 months to sort out the school transport scheme. 130,000 school children avail of the school bus places, but some families face delays in getting their tickets at the start of this current academic year. A review of the scheme was launched in February 2021 and is understood to be on Minister Norma Foley's desk. That's all for now. Back again at 12 noon.
Michael's keen, isn't he?
He is. I think he wants my job.
I think he wanted to come in and sit in your knee while you were reading the news. He's so keen to get in. Normally he's not. All right, then listen. Thanks, Donna Marie.
Here are last week's road safety figures. Over 3,000. The number of penalty point notices issued, 159. The number of drivers arrested on suspicion of drink or drug driving, and 3. The number of people killed on our roads. Behind these numbers is a story of lost lives, broken families, and devastated communities. If you can improve just one thing about your driving, you can help save lives on our roads. From the Road Safety Authority and An Garda Síochána.
Okay, it is Friday, and that means it's that is entertainment. We have our regular guests with us in Highland Radio. We have a hierarchy as such in terms of management, and right at the very top of the totem pole is Fionnuala Rabbit.
Hierarchy of management, I like it.
Well, is that the right phraseology?
No, it absolutely is. I just wouldn't necessarily use it to describe myself or my position, but okay.
Okay, well, you are.
Hello, how are you?
Very good. Now, as well as that, we have a part-time actor, Michael Leddy, on Green on Theatre, the Millennium Forum, the Butt Hall, that place down in... He's been thrown out of all of them. Thank you so much for calling in, Michael. It's a pleasure to have you.
I've been thrown out of everywhere else.
It's a pleasure to have you with.
I haven't been barred from Highland yet.
Right, I'm gonna put Fool Me Once to bed now. Because everyone's watched it except Fionnuala, but I think she has now watched it.
Have I watched the whole thing?
Yeah.
You ruined my week.
Yes, and what did you think?
I thought I could fully understand.
Go for the jugular.
I could fully understand what you were saying. There was way too much red herrings. To me, it was a show that could have been done in 2 episodes.
Yes.
There was no need for 8. Was pushing it. And it just didn't really have any kind of gel together. I mean, even when it did tie off the red herrings and stuff like that, I was like, oh, why? Yep. I just kind of stayed
all
going.
Very, very clever, but for what reason?
I actually didn't even think it was very, very clever.
Yeah, but I'm saying
and
that's probably what they thought. You know?
Yeah, I actually love Harlan Corbin. I have all his books. This is the only one that I don't have. But I've even read his youth anthology and all that kind of stuff because he gave up writing adult stuff. Like this book is written in 2016. He hasn't written much adult stuff since then because he writes an awful lot of kind of teenage
young adult,
the genre, Shelter. Yeah. People will see it. It's on Amazon at the moment. It's another one of his, but the book is better than the TV production that they made. There was just way too much going on, and I have to say now, I don't find her believable either.
Who?
Michelle Keegan.
Is this the tough guy stuff?
Yeah.
A few people text in along those lines.
Yeah, I'm sorry now, Michelle. I know there's other actresses that have played army people and that kind of thing but she's just overly glamorous or something. I don't know what it is, but it just was, the whole thing was just completely unbelievable to me.
That's one thing I disagree with you on. I thought she did come across as tough, you know. But yeah, no, I get it. And lots of people felt the same. But of all the faults and flaws, that wouldn't have been one of them for me.
No, it wasn't the main one. I mean, because she's not a bad actress. No, but I'm saying she's not a bad actress. So it's not that I didn't enjoy her acting. It was more that the problem that I had with the thing was that there was all these threads. And yes, they did tie off all the threads in the end. But they were completely irrelevant, like. You know, the whole thing, not to spoil it for anybody, but there's one thing in it where it's a detective and his girlfriend is pregnant and you're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
There was you know what I mean? There's another thread going on.
But see, the levels of stuff, right? Plus, it was a bit far-fetched at times. But the levels of stuff, right? So then he has to have something wrong with him. Remember I've talked to you past about this... Michael and Fionnuala, but they just have to put extra stuff in for you to deal with that you don't really. And there is
that's exactly what it was.
There is also a part of the programme whereby they go backwards and forwards in the show for people who haven't watched it, and they go forwards at one point, and they've just given up at that stage. You know, the age people with a pair of glasses. I mean, that's just really.
I know.
That just says right.
And it was like,
you know, we've spent all the money on the helicopter scenes, so
100%. And there was people who, when they were in the original time, that you were under the assumption wouldn't survive and wouldn't this, and then all of a sudden they show up in the future. You're like, what? Yeah, look, there was a lot wrong with it, and I think that's the things that I didn't. I mean, I watched it all the way to the end because I kept waiting to see where it was going to pay off and where it was whatever. But it wouldn't. It wouldn't. There's been much better versions of Harlan Corbin's books, and I feel bad for him because I hope he's not selling out now just for the cash, because that would really annoy me, because I do like his writing. It's very quick, and he has actually a sequence of books which are kind of based on one detective character, and I would love somebody to do Myron Voltaire is the name of his protagonist, and I'd love somebody to do a series. Be very much kind of in the Lincoln Lawyer kind of an idea, you know, that sort of way. This I just find a little bit farcical. I mean, it was the whole thing of, like, in the whole thing that just bothered me is, why was she not bringing any of this information to the police?
Didn't trust them because, you see, I think... But
she had no reason not to trust them.
Well, she does actually, because the family, the powerful family, she's of the opinion that the police are on the payroll.
I know, but that wasn't established in the first episode.
Okay.
That was established 2 or 3 episodes in.
She's a hard-nosed soldier who gets things sorted herself, love.
But she wasn't, and she actually wasn't a hard-nosed soldier.
I can't believe I'm trying to defend this.
I know, because she actually wasn't a hard-nosed soldier in the sense that obviously she was a soldier in that, but she was a pilot. So she wasn't on the ground in hand-to-hand combat, and yet then they translated it like she was on the ground in hand-to-hand combat. And
now, for people who haven't watched it, they are literally maybe 10 suspects.
There's loads of different things.
10 suspects and massive twists and all. I think for me what this is that everybody enjoyed it so much and talked about it so much that it probably was always going to disappoint me a little bit. I was really pleased it was over, and I said, I thought, right, okay, you give us a beginning, a middle and an end, and that's kind of what I look for.
Yeah.
What is your status on this programme again?
Didn't watch it. I'm not going to watch it. But I would say, as someone who does watch murder mysteries, if you have 10 suspects and you're complaining about the red herrings, but am I not right in thinking you have to give each of those characters a plausible reason where they could be the killer, and then that's why the red herrings exist? Am I not right?
I think so, but they you could have done it all in 5 minutes. This is why that person got it. That's why that person got it. This is why.
Fair enough.
And it just is a little
Murder She Wrote used to do it.
Clever for its own.
Murder She Wrote did it in 1 hour every week.
Yeah.
Angela Lansbury's character would arrive in a town. There'd always like 5 or 6 suspects. And by the halfway stage, you were like, well, it could have been John, it could have been Fred, it could have been Bill.
I think you're going to give it a reasonably high number out of 10.
No, I didn't. No, they kind of lost me in the first episode. And again, I'm not going to give away the reason. But in the first episode, she has an argument. I mean, an argument. Mm-hmm. Like a verbal argument with her nanny.
Yeah.
And her nanny turns around and pepper sprays her.
Yep.
I was like, I'm out.
Really?
I'm out.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, I don't understand what's going on with this. This is insane. How did something escalate to this position, to this stage?
And also, too, and this is another problem with the red herrings, it takes a long time to get that sorted out, and it's kind of frustrating.
That was my whole thing with it. I mean, it was watchable if you're kind of, you know what I mean. You don't mind being sort of brought along with the bit of it. I mean, there is a bit of a story to it in that, but if you want to watch something like that, I would watch one of his other ones, like the Stay Close. There's a couple of other ones that are on.
Did he not do as well?
He did as well. He's done. There's a few other ones that
felt very much like that to me. This one
that have been adapted, and I think they're better than this one. Now, I'm sorry to say.
All right, so Fool Me Once. Actually, the critics, believe it or not, 67% liked it on Rotten Tomato. The audience score 46%. I thought everyone thought this was the best thing since sliced bread. But anyway, your score...
I would be in around the 46%. Yeah, I would be thinking my gut number would be 4 or 5.
But glad it's over then.
Yeah, and it'll take a while before I forgive you fully for twisting my arm and making me spend my whole week watching it when I could have been watching Slow Horses, the new series. I still haven't gotten around to that yet.
We're going to get to that a little later on, but I want to start with something on terrestrial TV, After the Flood, which is on ITV.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about this, please.
This is a murder mystery show. There are 6 1-hour episodes. I watched all 6 this week. I got very much hooked by it. Yeah, I got hooked by it, yeah. I was very much looking forward to it because I liked the idea, the premise. And I didn't get around to it last week for various reasons, so I watched all 6 this week. PC, Joanna, is the central character in this, and we start off, it's in Yorkshire, small town, reasonably small town, and there's a flash flood, okay? The title gives that away, no spoilers. And in the aftermath of the flood, after the flood. Greg, see, you're with me. Hold on.
Yeah,
they find a dead body in an underground parking garage where a man, apparently, she's the first on scene, and it looks like he died. He got caught in the elevator when the water came in, and it looks like he was trapped there and the water rose up and he looks to have drowned. But that's the official take. Our heroic PC, she suspects that there might be foul play. Now, she's the main character, as I say, and she is finishing up as a PC, and she's about to go into detective training. So she's transitioning into being a detective, and she's also heavily pregnant. So what you have here is one of those heroes who everyone is telling her, you know, take it easy, you're pregnant, and you're only starting training next week. You know, this is none of your business. But she just has this gut instinct, and she idolises her father, who has passed away. He was a detective. She very much wants to follow in his footsteps, so she starts digging around. And she's one of those heroes, and again, it's a cliche, but she's one of those detective heroes who does some things she's not supposed to do. She breaks the law. She does something with a genealogy thing.
They all do that.
They all do that in TV, yeah. To break, she basically what she does is she puts the DNA of the man, because they don't know who he is. It looks like his ID is gone. They're saying, oh, he's a homeless man. So she doesn't believe any of this, and she tracks down a family member, but she does it in a way that she can't tell her superiors because it's illegal. So you have this hero, and I love heroes like this, who she has all this information, but she can't officially declare it because she'll immediately lose her job. And she's been told stay at home and don't go on the investigation and do it. Just mind yourself. You're about to give birth. She's very late in her pregnancy, but she keeps digging away and digging away. And I loved it. I really got into it. It plays sometimes a bit like a soap opera, and it looks a bit like an ITV soap opera. And as you know, it's shot on videotape, I think, a lot of it. And they clearly, there's only one street that we see flooded a lot, so they obviously had enough of a budget to flood a street, and they keep going back to that street, and they keep doing drone shots of it. And I'm like, if you cut out some of the drone shots, you could look like several different streets, but it's clearly the same street every damn time. But I didn't get, they're the shortcomings. I thought it was full of twists. I thought the first 2 episodes were good. The middle 2 episodes were very good. I thought the last 2 episodes were brilliant.
Okay.
And I honestly thought the confrontation in the final 15 minutes between the hero and the villain, in the final minutes, I thought it was gripping stuff. So I would give it a huge thumbs up. I just loved it. Finuna's not convinced.
No, I'm totally going to watch it. I've already downloaded, but I got stuck watching Fool Me Once.
That's what I'm saying. I thought you were a bit burnt by that.
I know. Well, that was my face. Made that face because I'm like, I'm going to watch it.
But I don't trust Michael's.
If you screwed me over the way Greg screwed me over,
that's it.
I'm not going to be happy.
We're off the Christmas card. No Christmas cards for us next year.
Kathleen on Facebook says, any of the panel watching Criminal Record?
I'm about to start.
We were just talking about it.
Okay.
It's not long on Sun Apple
Kathleen,
TV.
tell us what you think of it. If you're watching it, by the way, we want your views as well. So type in there what you think of Criminal Record.
Please, yeah, I'd love to hear from that lady. Peter Capaldi, who played Doctor Who. He and of course he was in other things like the Armando Iannucci show.
Yeah,
what's the name of it? It doesn't matter. Peter Capaldi, and I'm told this is really good. I'm told it's full on. I think there's 3 episodes up there on Apple, and I'm poised to start it next week, as well as series 2 of Vigil. I can't wait for that. Well, I am obviously waiting because it aired before Christmas.
Okay, so it is.
So after the flood, thumbs up for me.
Oh yeah, so what would you give that out of 10?
I'm giving it a solid 9 at least. I just loved it. And again, I'm not saying it's perfect. And there are red herrings, guys. There are red herrings, and there are cliches, But I thought it was just great, and I was really surprised by the revelations in the last 2 episodes, which I have to say. I've seen enough. I've seen a fair few murder mysteries. I don't consider myself that great a detective, but I was like, okay, you surprised me. Well done.
All right. And looking at a bit of footage from Criminal Record, it looks good.
Well, he's brilliant, Peter Capaldi. What is the name of that program? It was like the modern day Yes Minister.
It was the UK's Veep was based on it. The American show Veep, which Amanda Iannucci. It was.
It was like a Yes Minister.
It is. Yeah, it's about the British.
He was brilliant in it. His language was horrendous.
Horrendous. Yeah, Malcolm Tucker, was that his name? I can remember the name of the character. I remember everything about the show except the name of the show.
Well, there you go. Okay, listen, thank you very much indeed. We'll have more from Michael and Fionnuala. Did you watch Fool Me Once? What did you think? Have you been watching After the Flood? Tell us what you think.
I think it's Wednesday nights it's on.
25,000. Or indeed, we're also going to be talking about Slow Horses, True Detective, and so much more besides. So whatever you're watching, whatever you want to talk about, get in touch with us. 086 60 25,000 or call 07491 25,000. Back with more after the break.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 Till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 Till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
If you smell gas at home or on the street, don't ignore it. Open windows and doors. Don't smoke, vape, or use a naked flame. Don't unplug or switch anything electrical on or off. Turn off the gas at the meter. Then, no matter who your gas supplier is, call Gas Networks Ireland on 1800 20 50 50. Visit gasnetworks.ie to screenshot the safety steps, save them to your device, and share with friends and family.
January Super Savers at Homeland. Barry's Tea, 600 cups, only $19.99. Nutrius Complete Nutrition Dog and Cat Food, save 20%. Flowgas, £75 propane cylinder, only $64.99. Regatta Clothing, save 20% across all lines. Shop all offers in-store and online at homeland.ie. Offers available until January 21st.
Hi, Mark here from Highland Motors at the Mountaintop in Letterkenny. What would you look for in a new car? Maybe a reversing camera with reversing sensors, bright LED headlights, or maybe you're into your tech, like Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Wireless, of course. If you also like great comfort and want all of this at a really good price, the new Citroen C4X U Edition is the car for you. Call in to me at Highland Motors at the Mountaintop in Letterkenny. Oh, and that really good price? 29.9 on the road.
The ultimate ABBA Sensations tribute comes to Ancourch Hotel Gidor on Friday, January 19th, and the Villa Rose Hotel Ballybuffet on Saturday, January 20th. Tickets available from hotel reception and online at Eventbrite.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Okay, the time is 19 minutes past 11. Kathleen's back to us. Brilliant so far. Stars Cush Jumbo, who played Luca Quinn in The Good Wife. Okay, so thank you very much for that. All right, let's have a little listen to this.
The night country takes us one by one.
What happened in the last case you worked with Navarro?
That was good.
That's the voice of Jodie Foster, and you're listening to the trailer for True Detective. It's on Sky every Wednesday. Has it begun yet, Fionnuala?
Yeah, it has. It just started this week. The first episode dropped, as they say. I know.
No, I'm not taking her on.
I know. It's a terrible word. But also, the other side of this is I wish they'd kind of given you two, because it's very hard to establish the whole kind of premise of what's going on with it. Now, I watched True Detective, Cards on the Table. I watched the first one, and then I got halfway through the second one, and I gave it up. It was a bad job. And I never went back to it again, and I'm told that the third one kind of improved again. So I'm looking at this as being completely different and not really connected to that series.
So why does it have to be under the True Detective umbrella then, rather than... Are they trading on it? Or,
I think so.
Yeah. Because it's in a completely different world and completely different characters.
I don't even think... Am I right in thinking I don't think the creatives or even like the director... There was a whole shuffling of people behind the scenes. So at this stage, it's a very tenuous connection to season one.
I don't see what the connection could be entirely for myself from having to see it. This is set in Alaska. It's set during that period, which, to be honest, I don't know a lot about Alaska, but where they have like all darkness. They kind of have 24-hour darkness, and then they go to another stage then where they have 24-hour daylight. So this is like the darkness. So it's last night was not a good night to be watching it, because I was freezing as it was, and then I was watching this and it was like, oh God, I'm perished. So it's set up in kind of the Antarctic. She is the captain. Jodie Foster is the captain of this small the Alaskan police force, whatever it is in this area, and there is a research facility And really, that's where it starts off, is that they're called to this research facility because they're trying to find what happened to the people in the facility. They've just all disappeared. And that's basically where the whole story starts off. Now, there's going to be a lot of kind of side stories in it, which is going to be connected to native Alaskans. Which kind of I'm a bit concerned about, because that seems to be becoming a bit of a trope with some of these shows, that they're not necessarily doing a good job with them, but they keep doing it. The death of Native women such as in Alaska, such as in Native Americans. We've had a couple of shows like that have come on in different ways. They have them in Canada as well, and all that kind of thing. So I'm interested to see where that's going to go. It's very early on. It's very cold.
I think there's a lot of pushback if you do a story in a particular area or about a particular group of people, and you don't either employ a lot of people if it's of a certain population, Indigenous or whatever, and also if you don't recognise the history or what they went through. And I think that's what they're sort of...
Well, I don't
leveraging into a lot of these shows. If I'm reading what you're saying
my
correctly.
concern with it is that there are some huge genuine stories, and there's been some obviously genuine historical issues with a lot of different communities across the world, whatever. But sometimes I find with some of these things is that they're just doing it for the sake of ticking
100%. I agree.
And that's
with you,
what I don't like. If you're going to be discussing it, you know what I mean, discussing historical issues and even issues that are continuing on, because from what I've read and things like that, there seems to be in a lot of places the Indigenous people are, and particularly women, seem to be very badly treated. Doesn't seem to be good investigations into a lot of the crimes. We've seen a couple of true crime things that have come up along the way. But that's why I'm just saying I'm concerned about this, whether it's a little bit box ticking.
But if you can imagine,
and see where it goes.
Vanilla, what's happening is they're sitting in a room, right? They've got a script or what have you, and they're saying, will this group kick up a storm on X? Will that group kick up a storm on X? Are we going to get cancelled? Are we going to pump 30 million into this and then have to pull it after 2 episodes? And just the way the world is now, that everybody's angry about something all of the time, I think we're going to see more of this.
And that's what I don't like when you see things dropped into shows. It's like you're watching a program and it's all going fine, and not anything wrong with being homosexual, but all of a sudden then they just drop in that this some periphery character is a homosexual,
it adds
and you're like
zero to the storyline or the character.
It's literally just the character or fleshing out the character or anything like that. It's just.
But you can say we had a gay character in the program.
Tick that box. That was that done.
I get where
and
you're
that's what
coming
I don't like about it. And that's I would be a little bit concerned about this. With that, I mean, this has already kicked up some controversy apparently online, because some people were giving out now that True Detective has got 2 women as the detectives.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about
so
that.
it's like there's always somebody that's giving out about something.
I have sisters, mothers, grannies.
I know.
I am not worried about women being in positions of authority or. You know what I'm on about?
It's a strange thing for people to care about. Surely it doesn't matter as long as the characters are well fleshed out.
Jodie Foster is a multi-award winning character who herself, in one of the many people's best films ever, played a female detective fighting against, if you might remember in Tales of the Unexpected, don't know where that comes from, but if you remember in Silence of the Lambs, she's brought into a room with loads of fellas, and the fellas are looking at her going, what's a woman doing in here? That's probably 30, I don't know how long ago, it was 30 years ago. And now in 2024, when people are supposed to sort of matured a little bit, some people take offence that there's 2 women in a lead role.
She must really be knocking her head against the wall.
So we're actually going backwards.
I know, in fairness.
So no one said in Silence of the Lambs, as if a little diminutive person out of training camp could all of a sudden catch a serial killer.
I know.
Do you know?
It is a strange one. But given that, the other thing I'm a bit concerned about this is she may be too good.
As an actress?
Yeah.
Actor?
Material.
At the moment, she stands out. And again, I've only watched the first one. I'm definitely into it. There's 6 episodes in it. It has me. It's a little bit different to the. As I said, I've only watched the original True Detective. This one seems that it's going to have kind of a sci-fi sort of a feel to it. There's definitely that kind of this is a strange town with strange goings on. And
I saw some imagery in the trailer of characters that it doesn't look like anything I've ever seen a human look like. I'm not saying it's aliens, but when you talked about research facilities, it's starting to worry me.
Are they going into Fargo? You know how Fargo has that element of the ghostly, or they've had aliens and they've had ghosts? Is it going that route?
Now, as I said, it's the first one in, but I got the feeling...
I forgot about the aliens in Fargo.
Season 2, yeah.
No, I don't think it's going to be aliens, because in fairness, the people doing the research facility seems to be like a climate and all this kind of thing, and they're doing boreholes into, ice, into the ice, and getting all that kind of information. But like, if this thing turns,
have they dug something up?
If this thing turns around to be some kind of like crazed, polar bear in the end of it, I'm going to be like,
no, like an ancient caveman type thing.
That could maybe, but it has that kind of a feeling that sometimes you get from some of that. And to be honest, I've never watched anything that was based in Alaska. It didn't get a bit quirky along the way.
I opened up. So what would you give it? What is it out of 10? It's early doors. It's very early to tell.
I definitely think people should check it out. She's amazing in it. I think even straight off the bat, she's an
amazing actress.
And it's interesting for me. Even I want to watch the whole way through. Is just to see she hasn't really done much in recent years.
No.
Like, she hasn't done a lot since, you know what I mean, going back even to like 2008, 2009, which is a huge length of time. And I'd love to, what drew her to this?
Yeah.
Because that's always a question I wonder.
This might sound really, really stupid, but I opened up Disney Plus there last night. And across, I scroll down and look for things to watch, and I find it really, really awkward. But at the top, and I say everyone probably knows this already, but at the top, it's got like Disney, and then it's got different categories along the top of, Star is there. So you flick across and then down. I've always just gone flicking straight down. And the reason I'm saying it, in case there's anyone else that's like me, it's got a National Geographics tab, which is all National Geographical stuff. It's got your...
Star is all dramas.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know you could scroll across the top and then... There was sub-menus under the different categories. Both of you knew that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I knew that, Disney has...
That's not on my Fire Stick. That's what he's saying.
He doesn't have to...
Do you know what I mean?
Pretend he actually plays.
But I know they have
Disney.
different set. Yeah.
But Disney owns quite a few channels, so that's part of the thing.
Never knew that you could go over to National Geographic and there's programs about fixing cars up and stuff.
There's all kinds. Well, it's just everything is available on it, but it just makes it easier for you to scroll.
If I've just changed anyone's world, please let me know. 086. I doubt I have. I probably am the only person that didn't realise that. 086 60 25,000. Right, okay, so far, Michael's loved After the Flood, which is on ITV. Fanula's quite peed off that we made her watch Fool Me Once. True Detective, too early to say. And we'll get more from both of our guests, and we'll have guests joining us too remotely after we take a quick break. Kathleen back to say Night Country reminds me of Fortitude. Now, I'm disadvantaged in I don't neither know Night Country nor Fortitude.
Oh, Night Country is
Night
True
Country
Detective.
is the True Detective. That's what it's
there's
called,
subtitles
True
for it.
Kathleen, you're ahead of me. Sorry about that. Okay.
But I remember,
I have to look up Fortitude in the break, because I think I have watched it, but I don't.
I didn't watch it, but I always
right,
meant
okay.
to.
And just to remind you and invite you, and it's been record figures over the last week or so. It's really, really appreciated that you can watch us as well every single morning here in the 9 till noon show on your smart TV, the YouTube app pre-installed. You can throw us up there on the telly or on your Fire Stick if you have it for nefarious reasons, for whatever it might be. Lots of people have Fire Sticks.
For nefarious reasons?
What's this word nefarious mean?
Well, it means...
Wrong.
Yeah, criminal. Are they using it? Are they using them as like weapons? Are they throwing them around? Or
so it's all right. It fits, does it? For some people?
Well, possibly.
Or you Google TV, which is great.
It may itself be nefarious, but the purposes for which people have it are probably just to watch TV.
Of course.
I don't know. Yeah, so but as nefarious purposes, I just have you flinging it at hitting people on the back of the head.
And we're on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland News and Sport. He's throwing pretendy fire sticks at me. I have to take a break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
I find that finding stuff is good. Finding that one earring down the back of the sofa, or finding my perfect match on a dating app. I even went to India once to find myself. And at Specsavers, an audiologist helped me find sounds I hadn't heard for years. With PRSI, the hearing aids were free. I find that extremely useful.
Find your lost sounds. Book a hearing test at Specsavers.
Terms and conditions apply. You'll find them on our website.
Why leave all the magic moments or great scenes you've captured on your phone sitting there or in the cloud when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using the McGee's app or one of the in-store kiosks, you can upload your photos from your phone, Google Photos, Facebook or Instagram and have them printed instantly within an hour or in by 10 and ready by 5. See mcgees.ie for more details. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Easy Living Furniture's biggest ever winter sale is on, but ends Sunday. This is your last chance to avail of these amazing discounts. Absolutely everything reduced across sofa, dining, bedroom, mattress and accessories. It's the furniture you want at amazing winter sale prices. Winter sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
ATU Donegal Open Evening takes place from 4 to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, 24th of January on our Letterkenny campus. If you're a Leaving Cert student, parent of a prospective student, or maybe a mature student considering a return to education or upskilling opportunities, be sure to add this date to your diary. Meet our lecturers and student support staff and explore what ATU Donegal has to offer. Visit atu.ie/open days or check out our ATU Donegal social media channels.
Right, now, coming up in the Ballor on January 27th is a show called, I believe, Murder in the Ballor. Rory Farrell of this parish, of course, and of the boardwalks, or whatever you call the wood on the stage, is with us. Good morning, Rory.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I am good. Right, so it's a murder mystery. Is it called Murder in the Ballor, and it's coming up later this month?
Yeah, so Murder in the Ballor, it's a Buck Drama Circle production, and it is taking to the stage. It's actually going this week. It's going to be staged in B&S Golf Club, Ballybofane Golf Club. Mary McHugh, last year's lady captain, she is running it as a fundraiser for the golf club. And then on Saturday the 27th, we move over the bridge into Ballybofane. And we're putting the show on then in the Ballor Theatre, yeah.
And it's a different type of a show, isn't it, Rory? It's talk to us about what the audience can expect.
It is. So it's something different, okay? So if you fancy yourself as a bit of a sleuth, if you're a fan of murder mysteries on the TV, or if you're just looking for something different and with a little bit of interaction, this is definitely a show for you. So basically what happens in the show, I'm in the show. I play a director, a suitably obnoxious director. I know, shock horror. And basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to get a group of amateur actors and trying to get the best out of them to put on a show. And at some point through the show, shock horror, somebody dies, somebody is killed. So everybody on that stage has a motive of some description, and it's up to the audience as the show goes on to try and figure out who is responsible for the murder.
And the little clues obviously being dropped along the way, and ultimately all is revealed, is it, at the end, and then people can determine whether they were right or wrong, or what way does that work?
Basically, that's it, yeah. So the show is split up into 3 acts, okay? So we have the first act where, everything is sort of teed up and you get to know the various characters that are on the stage, and the whole thing sort of plays out. The second act then is really where everything is sort of drilled down into, and that's where the audience really need to be watching and keeping track of, who was where on the stage at the time of the murder, who might have had a motive, who definitely had a motive, and then obviously we'll break then for the audience to deliberate amongst themselves and put their heads together, put their notes together, and then at the end all is revealed in the final act. And then the audience can tell whether they were right or wrong.
Brilliant stuff. It's Murder in the Ballor. It's January the 27th, so it's tomorrow week, isn't that correct?
Tomorrow week in the Ballot, yeah. So this day week we're going to Ballybofeinstern Order Golf Club. That's been done as a fundraiser, and then we move over then to the Ballard Theatre then on the 27th.
Okay,
and that's just.
Go ahead. Yeah.
That's just. That's just some of what's coming up from the Buck Drama Circle. We have a really busy calendar ahead now over sort of the first quarter of this year. So this is just the first outing for us. Our choir, the Ballard Songbook Choir, they're taking to the stage in February with their songs from the movie show. Tickets are almost sold out for that, so if you haven't got your tickets, get them as soon as possible. And then I'm directing a comedy at the end of March, Girls Weekend. So that's coming up as well, and that's going to be lots of fun.
All right, good stuff.
We have a jam-packed schedule, coming
Brilliant.
up.
And it's all available on the ballotartscentre.com. You can check it out there. Thanks very much indeed, Rory. Have a wonderful day. Rory on air with you tomorrow as well from 10. Hi all, watch the first episode of the new True Detective, Night Country. Hooked after one episode. Good to see Jodie Foster back on the screen again, so they got that person in nice and early. Another, all this silly super heroine portrayal on TV and films are far-fetched and feeding into the feminist myth that women are equal to men physically in strength and speed. Sadly, they aren't, as proven by 99% of world records. This is feeding into a false narrative, sadly, and leaving women open to abuse, as young men are also believing it and sadly contributing to violence against women and men. Yes, an expert female boxer or martial arts expert will defeat an average man, but not an equally trained or skilled male, as strength and speed are going to be the decisive factors. Now, I appreciate that person's point of view, but I just don't have the brain space to to mull that over even.
I know, but I think
it's TV and film,
Well, yeah, that's, first of all, they're fictional characters. But second of all, I think that if a woman from the army came in and tried to beat up you or Michael, that she'd probably succeed.
Yeah.
Because now, would she
Tell me more about this woman who's going to come in and beat me up.
Would she succeed against a man from the army? That's debatable. They were both trained in equally, say, would she have the same physical strength? That's debatable. But in these shows, they're not pitted against, gym bunnies or, you know what I mean? They're pitted against your average Joe. That's the least thing.
Why is no one saying about Liam Neeson, who's a really old man?
I
know. Beating up young fellas.
I know. Yeah. Well, Sean Connery swam.
I don't believe, by
in
the way,
Rock when he was in his 70s.
I know, but when I refer to him as an old man, I don't mean it in any way negative.
Yeah.
But no one's going, come on.
Yeah.
This guy pushing 70, beating up 25-year-olds and hunting them down and uses special skills.
I always say, well, if you ever see the movie The Rock, it's in my top 5.
Yeah, of course, it's
Sean
great.
Connery supposedly swam off the rock and he was in his mid-70s. I'm like, he definitely did it.
Maybe he had a life ring, I don't know. But I know that. But my point is that, if you wanted to sort of point out things like that and you didn't have an issue maybe with one gender being elevated over another in certain circumstances, then you would also be angry with other things like that as well. But again, look, we all have our different views and everyone is perfectly entitled to them. Slow Horses on Apple.
Slow Horses, I review and rate everything I watch. I rate everything on my blog. And for last year, I gotta say, there was 5 perfect shows. There was 5 10 out of 10 shows when I averaged everything out. And one of those shows was Slow Horses. I cannot praise this show enough. I'm watching the 2nd season at the moment. I'm watching another episode tonight. It is superb. Now, you're saying the latest episodes, Vanilla, are not getting the same response from critics. I don't know about those, but I can say that when it comes to espionage, when it comes to twists, when it comes to turns, it comes to characters that you love getting killed off, it reminds me so much of 24 in all the best ways. It doesn't have that urgency of 24 because it doesn't use the real-time format. Although season 1 had it's all through the same night kind of vibe, and they had sort of 6 hours to kind of save the guy who'd been kidnapped. Season 2 is very different. Season 2 finds River, basically the heroic, cliched heroic character undercover in the country trying to figure out if there are sleeper agents. Meanwhile, his boss, Gary Oldman, the fantastic leader of this group of reject agents that nobody wants to work with, and he hates them, and he hates himself, and he hates his life, he hates everything. But at the same time, when in the opening moments of that season 2 opener, when somebody he knew years ago is murdered, well, they die and no one else thinks it's a murder, but he's like okay, this is a murder, and he goes digging into it. He's just amazing. I mean, he makes the show.
I couldn't get into this, you know.
The second season or any of it?
Right from the beginning, I think, when he's sort of establishing this unit, because you were raving about it at that time, and I'm going to have to try again, but I just couldn't get into it.
Maybe you just need to be in the mood for it.
Do you like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
I watched it. I can't honestly. I think I did enjoy it. Yeah,
it's very in that kind of a feeling about it. It's very.
It is.
There's even though it's set in modern day and everything is very modern in it. There's kind of that sort of a Britishness, and you know, like. Very Britishness MI5 kind of an idea.
And I love the way they deal with espionage in this. And there's a scene midway through the second season, and the two main characters, Lamb and River, they're sitting in a car in the countryside, and it's a bright sunny day. There's nobody around them. And they're documenting the clues they've got. You know, this guy, right, and he had the false name, he did this and that. And they've done some really clever detective work. And then Lamb is like, yeah, but is this a little bit too easy?
Yeah.
Are they late? And then they start talking about, he's like, could it be a trap? And there's real palpable tension, but there's nobody around them, and you're like, oh, this is gripping stuff. It's just two guys sitting in a parked car on a sunny day, but they're suddenly thinking, are we in the middle of an elaborate web of, you know, duplicity and lies? And I'm like, oh man, if I had popcorn, I'd be all over it. Okay. This is, to me, it's up there with The Bear. It's up there with the best shows I'm watching at the moment. A lot of it is the performances. And they killed off. Two of the team have died so far. This second season.
Well, you had your fingers in the ears when we were just talking about flash forward stuff. So you can.
But it's heartbreaking when characters you like get killed off.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. So
for me, anyway, it's 10 out of 10.
Have you started season 3 yet?
No, I'm finishing. I have 2 episodes left of season 2.
Okay.
And then I'm into season 3. And I would just rave about this show to anyone who'd listen. It's on Apple. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Just
fantastic
fantastic.
Stuff. Slow Horses, 10 out of 10. You've already said that. The jury's out simply because the jury hasn't watched season 3. Are you a fan of Slow Horses? 086 60 25,000. You've watched none of this, Fanula, yet?
Yeah, no, I have. I've watched season 1 and Michael's very late to the game.
Yes.
No, I watched season 1, season 2. It's absolutely brilliant. I loved it. The third season, a lot of people might have watched it now because it came out over the Christmas. But I was in a house in which darts was the main thing over the Christmas, and now ask me anything about darts. Ask me anything. Okay. I know. By the end of the Christmas and into the New Year, I was actually explaining the darts to my son-in-law, who had forced me to watch it. So I'm big into darts now. It's my thing. But so I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Part of the Luke Littler fan club.
I have a costume ready for next year. It's all happening.
It's supposed to be an amazing night out. I've looked at tickets before because it comes to Dublin as part of the Premier League and Belfast. Both sold out like a year in advance.
Oh, wow.
It sells out. And the place, you've got 5,000 people watching darts, having the night of their lives. Like, it's supposed to be an amazing night.
I don't know if they can even see the darts because it's like
they've got big screens everywhere.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. You might as well be at home with a bag. But
the atmosphere.
Be that as it may,
it is crazy. Yeah,
it is unbelievable how they've marketed it and created into
up,
this.
I don't get it.
It just started to be a thing at Christmas whereby you did go on fancy dress, and then it sort of turned out that everyone was having so much fun that if you didn't dress up in fancy dress, then you weren't. Having the crack.
I mean,
probably a lot of stag parties at it as well.
Pass out because I mean, some of the fancy dress is elaborate, and you're like with the heat. You'd imagine the heat in the room and the whole thing. I mean, in fairness, and it was exciting.
I do.
I did get very into it towards the end, and I was like, I have a problem
because it's great drama, you see, and that all good sport's got good drama, and it can turn on a whim, and you get to know the characters.
I used to watch it regularly back in the 80s when I was a teenager. Snooker and darts. I watched a lot of them because, as you said, drama, tension. You were like,
did you ever see the old footage of them playing darts though, like with cigarettes in their hands and mouths and stuff? Like, it's unbelievable.
I know. But it's so popular on it, and there's so many people watching it. On why hasn't Bullseye come back?
Bullseye is coming back.
I kept watching
Bullseye
it.
is coming back.
Why hasn't Bullseye come back?
That was a great show.
That
was a great show.
Who is going to present it again? It is coming back. It's probably going to be
because the guy that does this, the
fella does the chase, Bradley Walsh. He's retired.
I know, but he could totally do Bullseye.
Oh, he'll end
It
up
wouldn't
doing
be stressful on him at all.
Gladiators is back.
Oh, is it? Oh, God. no.
Black on BBC One.
Oh, I'm not sure if I'm up for that. I also ended
Bullseye
up having
was
to
great,
watch
though.
some of Ireland's Fittest Family. Dear God, why? People need to realise we have couches now and we have TVs, people. Don't do it. Don't do it. They were hanging off stuff and dropping into water, and I was like, no.
This is
Come on.
not the attitude. That's not. By the way,
No,
can I
it's
just
not
distance
good,
myself
not
from
good.
that public health advice from the owner of Highland Radio? Well, not the owner.
It was exhausting watching them, in fairness. I was
They
like,
do
oh
it
my
so
God.
you don't have to.
I will.
So Bullseye's
I
coming
was
back,
wrecked.
but who's? I tell you, you know who's? There's about 3 presenters over there. It is the guy that did the Deal or No Deal comeback. What's that guy's on that and Deck show? Can't remember his name. He's doing Bullseye. Bullseye's coming back with him. I'm almost 100% sure.
Wow.
Do you know the guy that he does Butlins as well? He's a bit of a magician comedian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that Bradley, like...
No, Bradley's too busy doing absolutely everything else.
I know,
So this
in
is
fairness.
the
No, Bradley. Well, I love
Bradley
him,
is, by the
Doctor.
way, the host of the new Gladiators. Believe it or not, Bradley Wolf.
Right.
I'm not surprised with that. He is,
When
as
is
you say,
Blockbusters
doing
coming
everything
back?
else.
Get on a P, please, Bob. All right, then we'll be back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
If you're making some changes in your home, visit the big January sale now on in the newly extended McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. There's big reductions in every department with great savings on suites, beds, mattresses, living room and dining room furniture. Also on occasional furniture, including lamps, pictures and mirrors. That's all in the big January sale now on at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road in Letterkenny. See mcginleysfurniture.com. A new year and a promise to eat better. At Kelly Centra, you'll find everything you'll need to cook simple and delicious dinners with a great variety of protein choices and vegetarian options. All the ingredients to cook something tasty and a great range of healthy ready meals. Make the right choice this January at Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
If you're having trouble with online banking or checking emails and just don't feel confident doing things online, you're not alone.
Sign up for a digital skills course at your local education and training board. You'll find the support and skills you need to become more independent online. Free text LEARN to 550 or visit adultliteracyforlife.ie to find a free course near you. Supported by the Government of Ireland, Solace and the European Union.
Come along to the 2024 Clanray Hotel Wedding Fair on Sunday the 21st of January. Plan your dream wedding with us this Sunday 21st from 1 to 5 p.m. with suppliers in attendance. The Clanray Hotel Wedding Fair, the Northwest's leading wedding venue.
At iMotors, we take pride in having the largest selection of used vehicles in the Northwest.
Offering a diverse range of cars to suit every taste and budget.
With over 20 brands to choose from starter cars, luxury cars to large practical family cars.
Our experienced team is always on hand to help you find the perfect car.
Visit imotors.ie to find your next car.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, so this morning, continuing cold with widespread frost and icy stretches. Any lingering showers will die out, though, leaving a dry day with spells of sunshine, turning cloudier from the west later this afternoon and evening. Cold with highs of 4 to 6 degrees. So we've stuck out so much false information here. So Bullseye is returning. It's coming back after 29 years with your host, Paddy McGuinness. Now, he hasn't been confirmed, but Paddy McGuinness might be hosting it. The other guy, Stephen Mulhern.
Yeah, he does catchphrase.
He does catchphrase, but he did also the New Deal
I
or No
do
Deal.
love catchphrasing.
But also, really quickly, I was wondering with the New Deal or No Deal, the part I didn't like about it is this sense, this sort of almost like a spirituality to it. You know, like I sense number 3 or number, you know, all this.
Really?
And it all returned in the new series, and it turned me off.
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Geraldine Moody is producer of Carn Drama Club's The Two Loves of Gabrielle Foley. Good morning to you, Geraldine.
Hi, Greg. How are you doing? And it's Mooney, not Moody. I probably am quite moody, though, but it's Mooney.
I can't take responsibility for that. I'm going to blame either Caroline or Shannon. Geraldine Mooney, it's lovely to speak to you, okay? The Two Lives of Gabriel Foley. It's on Saturday the 20th of January, which is tomorrow. You've already had a number of performances and going down really well with the audiences, I'm told.
Yes, we've had 3 performances last weekend, and we had packed houses every night. And just listening to the laughing was good for the soul. It was just lovely. Everybody really enjoyed it, and we've had great feedback. So we're putting it on again tomorrow night now for a local charity, the Friends of Inishowen Hospice, which is based in Carndonagh. And it's a great play, and we hope to have a good crowd tomorrow night. Please God, the snow will be all gone at that stage.
It will be indeed. And where is it taking place? I don't have it here in front of me.
Yeah, it's taking place in the Colgan Hall in Carndonagh at 8 o'clock. I'll just tell you a little bit about it. The play is about a middle-aged bachelor farmer who is living with his mother, Aggie, and he hasn't had much luck with women so far, but now there are 2 women after him. He has joined a posh drama group to meet Hazel Myers, who's also after his farm, but he's also unaware that Chrissy McCabe, who helps his mother, has had her eye on him for some time. His friend, local farmer Liam Gavigan, gives plenty of unwanted advice, and he confuses things at times. Aunt Lucy then is Aggie's sister, and she always seems to arrive at the wrong time and create some havoc on the stage. There are 2 other characters in the play, Maurice Delamere, the sensitive director of the Posh Drama Group, and Clive Snell, who is a self-absorbed member of that drama group. We have old and new members in the club, and it's going really well, and looking forward to tomorrow night again.
Yeah, and it's a really, really good show. People will enjoy it, and loads of laughs and what have you. It's on tomorrow night. It's a great night out. The snow will be well cleared at that stage. It's actually going to be quite mild. And all monies raised goes to Friends of Inishowen Hospice. And this is the Drama Club's final performance of this play as well. So there's loads of reasons that people should go along. Fair play. Thank you so much, Geraldine Mooney.
And thank you for having us. Thank you. Take care.
Okay. All right. Bye. Slán. All right, Geraldine there. We're still in the company of Michael and Fionnuala. It's actually supposed to be Paddy McGuinness, said to be the new host of Bullseye's comeback. Thank you very much. Stephen Mulhern, Greg, you're spot on texter. Hi, I paid big money to meet and greet Phil Taylor. One time he was so ignorant and was so disappointed. Phil Taylor is arrogant. He's arrogant on
That's
the
the guy that won it 16 times.
Yeah, he's out. God, you really have been.
I told you.
But I was watching.
I'm telling you now. I was all over it.
I was watching the darts at Christmas, and Aaron was sitting beside me, and it's just amazing how time goes by. He's 18 in March, and Luke Littler's up there at 16, just kicked up €250,000. I looked over at Aaron for all he's achieved, and he looked at me, and he says, "Dad, why are you looking at me like you hate me?" And of course I don't, but I was thinking, get off your bum, get a set of darts or a snooker cue or something, will you?
I know.
The thick of it, as far as I know, Capaldi's second Apple show. Thanks, Fionnuala. Thankfully, won't fool me. Finally got to see Killers of the Flower Moon last Sunday on Apple TV. I think best supporting role should go to anyone's derriere, as it took me longer with intermissions to get fresh air through it, although enjoyable yarn, bit too drawn out. 2 hours was long enough, but short. Scorsese is usually not in the same sentence. I believe there's a remake of Mean Girls. Well done.
It's a musical, though.
Done Footloose, okay. But if you're looking for classic films tonight, Footloose and Mean Girls, they're both on Channel 4 from 7 tonight. Enjoy.
Excellent.
You can't put a foot wrong tonight. No name on that, but I think we all suspect that might be Kevin.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, brilliant.
Maybe Kevin will come in one of these days if one of you's unavailable.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I enjoy reading his text. He's probably a dose. No, I'm only joking, Kevin. I'm only joking, Kevin. If you're
and that's the sort of treatment you can get if you come in live as well, as I can attest. I
actually think it'd be interesting, Kevin. We'll see.
I think so too. I would think so too. Yeah.
Good TV.
Right, The Beekeeper in the cinema.
Yes.
Do you want to leave this till next week, or can you bang it out?
I'll give it a quick.
Can you bang out?
I'll bang it a quick one if you want. Yeah. Internet scammers steal the life savings of Jason Statham's friend, and he is really annoyed. And you're thinking, Is he going to write some strongly worded letters to get the money back? No. He goes off and he kicks ass, and it's brilliant. It's an action film. It's Jason Statham. I'm ignoring Falula's sideways glances. She joined me for this at the weekend. It is a great...
Does he owe you a couple of hours?
Yes.
No, it's an enjoyable movie. It's
a great
exactly
movie.
what Jason Statham is. But the thing I just have questioned the whole time is, like, I started off about half an hour and I turned to him and I said to him, a child wrote this movie. And then by the time we got to the end of it, I said, a not even intelligent child wrote this movie.
Was it when Jason Statham single-handedly beat the 8 bad guys, or when he took on the 8 SWAT team members, or when he took on the 8 cops?
The fighting is exactly what you want. It's absolutely
it's so good.
It's amazing,
So
and there's a load of blood and guts, and everybody dies the way they should die, and the whole thing.
It's funny.
But the thing is like, how hard is it for him to get somebody that can actually write a little bit of dialogue?
But I don't think you got to give Jason too much dialogue.
No.
I think you go with what he's good at.
Yeah. And some of the reviewers have said this works where he doesn't say a lot.
For Jeremy, I think we should do a whip. Jeremy clearly needs a few pounds. Why else would he be in this movie?
The guy who directed this directed things like Fury, the tank war movie from years ago, and he directed Suicide Squad.
He's got a bit of
got
a back catalogue there.
He was one of the 3 writers on the first Fast and Furious, so he has got his chops. He knows how to do an action movie. Critics have embraced this. It's got 60-70% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got 94% from the audience. And I
know, got our 6%.
But your main comment on it after it is that, I mean, it's even better than Meg. Like,
I did. I thought it was better than Meg.
I just want to say thanks, Michael, for calling up as always. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Fanula. Great to have you.
Great fun.
Great to have you on the show. That's where we have to leave it on the 9 till noon show for this week. Thank you so much to all of you for listening and taking part in the show, and those that choose to watch it. It's great, as I say, to have you all on board. And we'll be back to do it all again on Monday from 9. Have a wonderful